This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? A happy Friday and welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. I guess a happy Thanksgiving to all of you in advance. Big long weekend coming up, and oh my God, is this going to be a beauty one if you're into watching sports. Jets with a couple of matinee games tomorrow, 12:30 at Canada Life Center against the Los Angeles Kings. And then noon on Monday. A lot of people, I think, might be caught off guard by that if you haven't looked at the schedule. Yeah, afternoon game on Monday on Long Island against the Islanders, first road game of the year. So we'll look ahead to that. Of course, today's conversation will surround a very fun night at the rink last night. An unfortunate final result with the Jets losing 5-4. But a pregame ceremony unlike any that we've seen before here in Winnipeg, and a game that, kind of looked like game one of the season. It was sloppy at times. It was certainly not the Jets' standard of defensive play, but we certainly saw some highlights of some of the top players in the world. And how about Kyle Connor celebrating that extension with the Jets by scoring a hattie in the first game? Very exciting third period. Didn't start off well for the Jets. They sort of got caved in, let Connor Hellebuyck out to dry for a little bit, but then battled back. Two shorthanded goals. Morgan Barron, what a play by him. And then shortly thereafterwards, Kyle Connor gets on the board. And, the team had a power play late in the game. Kind of ironic that the PK was where the Jets were scoring on special teams and it wasn't the power play. But nevertheless, a 5-4 loss that we'll dive into. Hear from Scott Arniel. Hear from Jonathan Tews, who, as we'll get to, was welcomed back in a very, very special moment last night. And we'll also hear from Kyle Connor on the big game, but unfortunately not the result that the Winnipeg Jets were looking for. A huge thank you to everyone that joined us in the Winnipeg Sports Talk section last night. I think that was our biggest group yet. Sold out every seat in it. We had the top few rows of Section 316, and it was so great to kick off the season. And, well, we hadn't left a building at a WST game after a loss since 2 seasons ago after running the table at 6-0. Our next chance to do that as a group will be November 21st. Go to winnipegjets.com/WST to jump on your tickets for that date, as well as the other 4 remaining games of the month after Nikolai Ehlers' return with the Carolina Hurricanes on February November 21st. Listen, we're going to get Remis in and talk about this game. Welcome to everybody in chat. Hit that thumbs up and the like button if you haven't already. Huge thanks to you podcast listeners that are making us a part of your day. Met a lot of podcast listeners, actually, that came up and said hi at the game last night. Always nice to meet people that maybe we aren't able to be as active in the daily chat, but know that Winnipeg Sports Talk is a part of their day. So appreciate that everybody that said hi. Also appreciate the incredible support that the sponsors have for Winnipeg Sports Talk that makes what we do every day possible. Big thanks to our friends at Coolbet. Jake, Pat, and I went live at 11 a.m. this morning with WST winners for Week 6 in the National Football League. You can check that out at your leisure before kickoff on Sunday on the WST YouTube channel. Also want to thank our partners at Princess Auto, friends at the Winnipeg Jets, of course, Chud's Power Sports. Big power poll coming up later on today, which we'll touch on. The HSC Millionaire Lottery, Roley's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center and Canadian Club, Manitoba Battery, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, and of course, our newest sponsor, our friends at Clean Line Plumbing, the official plumbing services of the Winnipeg Jets. We'll get to a why not question of the day, some fan feedback from fansfirst.ca, and of course, we will have a marble race at the end of the program to officially kick off the weekend. Coming up, Pat Gregoire is going to jump on. We'll talk a little NFL with Thomas Tipple, Jeff Hamilton, and finally back at work with Sean Reynolds, our pal Ken Wiebe from the Winnipeg Free Press. Ken's going to join us a little later on. But welcome to everybody in chat, and welcome to you, Michael Remis. What a good time the crew had last night despite the final score.
You know, the score was not in the Jets' favor, losing 5-4, but it could have been so much worse. It was very quiet in there when it was 5-1, and full credit to the Jets for battling back. Thought we had another huge comeback like they did in Game 7. You had that kind of same feeling like it was coming, but it was a great night. The lineup for the trophies wrapped around, a very lengthy line. We had a nice meetup before. Great to see, a lot of people coming up to me and you saying how much they enjoy what we're doing here, which, is very nice to hear and nice to meet a lot of people. And as far as the game, the intros, excellent. I thought the production from the Jets, they had the lights out. Mach 10 is back playing the tunes. So great game. Wish the game was a bit better. The Jets got into some penalty trouble. I thought that really sunk them. Almost got out of it, but not quite. Hellebuck did what he could to help the Jets in it. And they're going to have to weather this storm while they wait for Lowry, Sandberg, and Perfetti to come back. But, game one, not going to have any strong overreactions here. We'll wait for a couple games to come in. But it was great to be back at Canada Life Center and looking forward to turning the page on last year with the raising of the banner and moving on to 25-26.
One other thing that we got, these toques.
Oh, yeah. I got mine upstairs. You didn't throw yours?
We were in the top few rows of the building. That thing was barely getting to the bottom of the 300s if we threw it. I will say this. They have really stepped up the quality of these giveaway toques. These ones are really, really nice. Like, this will be a one that you can wear all winter long, warm, high end. Like, the first couple years, they had those kind of just those little beanies.
Yeah.
And I don't know if many people really wore them. This actually reminds me of the quality that we got with those new era ones we did with the Winnipeg Sports Talk toques a couple years ago.
It's funny you mentioned that because I remember a game a couple of years ago where they gave away the toques and Kyle Connor scored 2 goals and people threw their toques on the ice. And he said after the game they must not have liked the toques because they threw them after 2 goals. And you're right, those were giveaway toques. Not, they were fine, they were simple, but this is a toque I would wear. I agree. It's got the pom-pom, thick quality. I was impressed with the giveaway toque. They had the hat trick. I didn't throw mine, as you said. We were in row 10 of 12 rows.
Zero
in
chance.
300. Yeah, so
we wouldn't have been able to get it on the ice with the launcher that they do to, put things into the crowd.
Toques, not exactly aerodynamic either, so you can't toss it, like a frisbee, like you would a hat. So, and I kept mine. I would give it to my kids at home. Maybe they would be excited about it, but it was a pretty cool sight. The hat trick, Kyle Connor. Everyone's, the big story, him this week signing that deal. Seems to be worth every penny. As what he's on pace for 82 times 3 goals now. Whatever you do the math.
Well, and as I said to you in the seats after he got the hat trick, and I see Eagle Eyes has already mentioned it in chat. Everybody that got on that exclusive for Kyle Connor to score 50 this year at 17 or 18 to 1. Is feeling pretty good about the start for number 81 in the goal scoring department. That being said, and we'll hear from Scott Arniel right away, Remis. This was a sloppy game at times. For a Jet team that over the last couple of years, whose bread and butter has been the best and strongest defensive system in the league, that wasn't it last night. I mean, it was choppy. There were some breakdowns. I think we really saw how challenging it is going to be for this Jet blue line to get by for the time that Dylan Sandberg was out. Certainly, if you look at some of the game scorecards and the analytics, it was a tough one for the pairing of Pionk and Fleury. And that's not a lot different than what we saw last year when Dylan Sandberg was out. But, I mean, listen, I thought the top line generated a lot. At times I thought the second line was there. Morgan Barron and his fourth line looked good. And obviously Vlad with Nino and Iafallo had some impactful shifts. But, overall, it was tight early on. I mean, 1-1. The Nils Lundqvist goal that got past Hellebuck, an absolutely perfect shot that he was screened on, was the one that you would have loved to have prevented. But, to me, the game completely flipped when the Jets got into penalty trouble in the late second and early third period, and Dallas was able to capitalize. But, that's going to happen over the course of the year. And I can tell you from being in the building and talking to people afterwards, the way that the team, it would have been so easy. It's the first game of the year. We got 81 left. We're down 5-1. This sucks. We move on to the next one. I mean, they absolutely stepped up and fought right until the end. And, we'll get into special teams. The PK unit with those two shorthanded goals was truly special. And then they got a glorious opportunity down 1 with less than 3 minutes left to score in the power play and just were not able to do that. The one thing I'll say about that power play, and I guess I don't think I mentioned this to you in the seats, but were you surprised that they didn't pull Connor Hellebuck earlier and go to a 6-on-4? I mean, it didn't happen until right at the end of that power play, and I was a little surprised that they didn't do that almost right off the get-go once they had possession with the 2-minute power play.
I thought about it. There was a lot of time left, so you still have a power play. They had a top one last year. Sometimes when you get 6-on-4, maybe you get a bit confused. I thought there was not a lot of time. There was too much time to pull, and you could still pull later on. So I didn't think so. It's certainly an option if you want to be a bit more aggressive. I don't know what everyone else there in chat, but I looked at the clock. I was like, there's a lot of time here. They just scored a couple quick ones. You felt like it was coming. So it would have been nice. I mean, special teams, certainly the difference in the game. The Jets 0 for 4 on the power play. Power play that was number 1 in the league last year. And Dallas, they were 4 for 5. All it takes is 1, and the Jets almost killing it right at the end. But yeah, the game flipped. All those penalties, some were penalties for sure. Some I thought were minor infractions that often don't go called. So they were in a tough spot. They were able to weather most of the storm, but not all of it. But credit to them for fighting back and making an exciting game. People were walking out of that building like, man, what a night. The pregame was amazing. The Toews ovation was worth the price of admission, and you almost saw a historic comeback. You still got a hat trick too. It was in a loss. It was as far as losses go, you certainly got your money's worth.
No, it was really fun. And, just as far as the opening of the game, which was a big, big part of it, the banners look beautiful. I mean, as a fan that's been here for the last 14 years, now going on year 15, we talked for a long time about how empty our rink had been, no division titles, and to be able to put that up along with the President's Trophy banner was pretty cool. Obviously, the dream is a much bigger one that says Stanley Cup champions at a certain time, but well earned. I thought what they did before that with Adam Lowry was phenomenal. And just a quick hat tip to Lowry. There's a lot of players and a lot of captains, certainly ones that we'd have had in the past that wouldn't have even considered, leaning into it, being available, doing the voicing for that piece. I mean, with him not being able to play right off the bat, he had a big, big time presence in that opener, and looked like $1 million US tax-free on the bench, rocking the turtleneck inside the jacket. But the love he was getting was awesome. But man, the ovations. I mean, Mark Scheifele, who was last out, with his first game playing since, we all had heavy hearts watching Game 6 of the Dallas series last year was special. The ovation for Kyle Connor coming off the contract extension was great. Obviously, Josh Morris, he got a huge round of ovations. The MVP chants when Connor Hellebuck was introduced was amazing. And the Jonathan Toews introduction was so cool. And I watched it a number of times on social media afterwards. I've seen it posted by pretty much every single hockey account that covers the NHL. We knew this was going to be a big story, not just here in Winnipeg, but around the league. And as you mentioned, Remo, I haven't caught it yet, but Elliot Friedman noting that the ovation for Jonathan Toews in Winnipeg was significantly louder and longer than the one in Edmonton for Connor McDavid, which, listen, I knew Winnipeg would show up and welcome Jonathan Toews back, but as my friends at EST lamented, not a great performance for Oiler fan in game one, not being on their feet for an endless amount of time for one McDavid. But the smile on Jonathan Toews' face, his parents, friends, family in the stands, what a cool moment and what a great sight to see him back in the National Hockey League, never mind a member of our team right here in the Peg.
Yeah, very cool to see him in a regular season game wearing a Jets jersey. And yeah, I was listening to 32 Thoughts this week just to get ready for the start of the season. And they were speculating, oh, how long are they going to cheer McDavid for? Like a minute straight? I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And Elliot, who was here for the game yesterday, was here a couple times going back and forth, mentioned on the podcast that he thought it was louder for Toews or longer than it was for McDavid. So the Jets fans certainly showed their appreciation last night for the banner raising. I mean, they had that drone flying around, getting some really cool shots, and the introductions, Hellebuck, huge ovation, but a lot of excitement for Jonathan Toews and his return. And that wasn't a story just here in Winnipeg. That's a story across the NHL. It was one of the leading stories on NHL Network yesterday. Making his return, him and Kane, part of those 3 Blackhawks Stanley Cups, still playing in the year 2025.
Yeah, just thinking about Kane, who's still with the Wings. It's going to be really neat when we play Detroit at some point. And those two guys, Blackhawk legends, are going head-to-head in opposite jerseys. Listen, we'll hear from Jonathan Toews in just a minute, but let's start off with the head coach, Scott Arniel. He spoke after the game, a 5-4 loss to the division rival Dallas Stars. Here's what Arnie had to say about game 1 of 82 for his side.
Well, I certainly have to give Dallas credit, but for 50 minutes, we weren't a very good hockey team. Our structure and our detail in all 3 areas wasn't very good, and it's too good of a hockey team to make those kind of mistakes. And the shorthanded goals sparked us and kind of got a little bit more urgency into us, and won a few more battles and did a little bit more of the things that we needed to do for the first 50 minutes.
Was that surprising, Scott? Because, this team has become so reliable, especially in its own zone.
Yeah. Unexpected for sure. Yeah, I mean, and you never expect that. So, we'll do our homework, clean it up, and get ourselves ready for Saturday.
All right. Yeah, there will be a lot of cleaning up. I imagine the video session will be extensive. And, again, we'll talk about this with Ken coming up, but pretty clear where Arnie was going to start. I mean, just that defensive effort. And listen, they've got a lot of new forwards. You're doing it without Dylan Sandberg. Just wasn't close to that Jets standard that has, helped Hellebuck win the Vezina trophies and had the Jets at the top of the league in goals against for the last couple of years. Not taking away anything from Dallas. They were good. And, just on those penalties, Reem, I can't remember the last time a Jet team played so long with only 3 skaters on the ice. There was 4-on-3s, there was 5-on-3s, and maybe the worst luck of the entire thing was, I can't remember whether it was the 4th goal or the 5th goal. The Jets only had 3 skaters on the ice, and Josh Morrissey broke the stick, and it seemed like they were going to be able to get it out, and then next thing you know, it's back in the net. It was tough sledding there with down 1 or 2 men at times, but the PK did pop 2 goals to get the team right back into it. And of course, Morgan Barron had that beautiful one. But this is 3. This is just Arnie kind of talking more about what was lacking defensively for his team.
We have capable people that are out there and that are playing that. If we're better with our structure and our details, we're not giving up those looks. They scored 3 goals off entries. That's not us. We don't give up those plays where that guy is dead center in the middle of the ice getting a chance to score or to get a look on net. So, you know what? It's again, it was totally unexpected. At the end of the day, we'll look at it, and there's some areas we certainly have to clean up.
So there is Scott Arniel. And, speaking of the entries, let me give a little bit of a plug to our new post-game content on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Now, knowing that our friends at Illegal Curve and Kenny and Rennie, are always going live afterwards, we didn't want to do anything live. But after every game that's either Sunday through Friday, we will have kind of a 20, 30-minute post-game report with Connor, with Liz, with Remis at times, and that'll just be posted after the game. So when you're finished with the Legal Curve and Kenny and Rennie, more often than not, that will be up and ready for you. And if not, you can check it out in the morning with more thoughts on the game afterwards. Because we have WST Sunday live at 9 a.m. each and every Sunday, the Saturday games will be covered in more detail at 9 a.m. on Sunday when Connor and Liz fire up WST Sunday Live. But the first edition of WST Postgame was posted late last night, and it is there for your viewing pleasure as well. Listen, Kyle Connor was the guy we were all talking about the last couple of days after inking a record-setting contract with the Winnipeg Jets. And he picked up right where he left off last season, lighting the lamp not once, not twice, but 3 times. Here's what Scott Arniel had to say about Kyle Connor's hat trick to start the season.
You know what? It doesn't take much for him to find holes, to get that shot off. I mean, even the first one looked like he was, he was kind of running out of room and then gets it back on his stick and puts it under the bar. And he's just a goal scorer. It's what he does. And we just he gets time, he gets space. He gets one-on-one with a goalie. 90% of the time it's in the net.
So there's Kyle Connor. That was the real positive. And, the other positive was the fight that the Jets showed in the last 10 minutes. Now, the game felt as good as over when Dallas had that explosion early in the third with all those power plays and went up 5-1. But as we mentioned, Morgan Barron started it, Kyle Connor with the couple. Here's how Arniel saw the last 10 minutes of the hockey game.
That has to happen for 60 minutes. And kind of to what some of these other questions, that's kind of been our DNA. There's our work ethic and our compete. We lost a lot of battles tonight, and whether that was kind of man-on-man, one-on-one, or battles where we get beat to spots. They beat us to positions. They got to inside on us a few times. So we certainly know that we can be better in those areas.
All right, a little bit more Scott Arniel just lamenting what had happened earlier in the game and needing that final 10-minute performance of the club right from the drop of the puck. They'll look to do that with that early start tomorrow against the Los Angeles Kings at 12:30 p.m. Mark Scheifele, had some juice last night and got into it a little bit with one of the new members of the Dallas Stars. But he was playing with a bit of a chip after things weren't going the Winnipeg Jets' way. And I think that was a big part of sort of the rally that the team was able to come about. Here's what Arnie had to say about Scheifele getting a little dirty last night and mixing it up.
Well, I think that's just the competitor in him that, he's recognizing it's a 5-1 game. He's not going to doesn't want to take a step back, and that's just Scheifele. I've seen that in the last few years. He's most of his career. He's a competitor. He doesn't like to lose, and however different guys go about it different ways, and he kind of sort of dug in, didn't like what was going on. So, but that's the stuff that from our group has to happen a lot earlier than what it did.
Did you think that had any effect on your bench?
I think anytime those things happen, I think that it's good that our group that kind of fires everybody up. I don't know if that's the reason why we went and scored 2 shorthanded goals, but I think that that's just Scheifele. We know Scheifele's going to do those type of things. He's a competitor. So.
All right. Now, Jeff Hamilton's going to join us in just a minute, and we'll talk a little Jets, a little Bombers with Hammer. Ken with a more detailed Jets conversation afterwards. But we will hear from Jonathan Toews and Kyle Connor before Ken comes on with us. But just one more clip from Arnie. And this was, of course, what he thought about the return to the NHL and to his team of number 19, Jonathan Toews.
Yeah, I think that, he's like a lot of our group. It took a while to get going early on. And I thought I saw, changes in his game in that second period. He started to have the puck a little bit more, had some looks. Their line started to do some things. But, at the end of the day, our whole group, it's a tough one because our whole group wasn't good. And, for him, I certainly would like to have been a better first game. But like I said, with Jonathan, it's all every day's a new day, and it just continued to get better each and every day.
Minutes of ice time last night for Toews. Couple really nice passes, and hopefully it's just up and onwards from here with a healthy and productive season back in the bigs for Jonathan Toews. All right, Hammer's going to join us in just a minute. Folks, our friends at the HSC Millionaire Lottery continue to push forward before Manitoba's newest millionaire is changed. Shout out to everybody that got in before last night's deadline for the super bonus. But the good news is the prizes and the winning is going to continue. Next up is the Grey Cup bonus 2 weeks from right now, with 3 winners getting tickets to the Grey Cup at Princess Auto Stadium, elite seats. Still got more early bird prizes, including $85,000 cash, 30 more winners of $500 in gas and groceries, a 2025 BMW i4 eDrive 35 full EV, as well as Indigeno 26K and Indigeno travel vouchers. The deadline for that one is 2 weeks from today. The bottom line is it all goes to help Manitoba's hospital, the Health Sciences Center, in one of their biggest fundraisers of the year. And someone is going to be Manitoba's next millionaire. The grand prize includes a choice of one of 5 dream home packages valued at $1.5 million or $1.25 million cash. Get your tickets today. Check out the 50-50 and the extra cash plus options, all to support the HSC, and get your tickets today at hscmillionaire.com. You can also get them in person at your local Red River Co-op stores or over at London Drugs. Want to thank our friends at Rollies for their great support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Of course, folks, if you have a move coming up for you and your family in the near future, lean on the folks at Rollies. They are the best in the business, family owned and operated for over 60 years right here in Winnipeg. Check out their site at rollies.com and click on that request an estimate tab. You can use the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies, and then let them know when and where you're planning on moving and what needs to be moved. Friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around quickly with a gray coat and get you locked in for the white glove treatment that they have been famous for Winnipeggers and Manitobans, now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, lean on our friends at Rollies. Find out more, request an estimate today over at rollies.com. And folks, if it's been a minute since you've been to the dentist, or you're looking for a great full-service dental office to take care of your entire family, St. Vital Dental Center, our pal Dr. Terry, his wonderful staff have been doing it for generations of Winnipeggers in St. Vital, and would love to welcome your family in. They've got a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's with state-of-the-art equipment and convenient free parking right behind the building, and a bunch of friendly smiles waiting to take care of you and your family. Customers from starting at 6 months all the way to 99 plus, with everything under the rainbow, from things like simple cleanings and checkups to procedures like dental implants. They can do it all for you. St. Vital Dental Center. Check them out online at stvitaldental.ca. Book an appointment there as well. And when you pop by and see Dr. Terry, say what's up, and the WST boys sent you as well. Hey, just before we bring in Hammer, it is the weekend. We got a big Bomber game tomorrow, which we're going to be talking about with Jeff. Of course, Canadian Club is the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. There'll be plenty of that for the final 2 home games for fans in attendance. But right now, on your next trip to your Manitoba Liquor Marts, gang, make sure to keep your eyes out for the special edition Winnipeg Blue Bomber label. Canadian Club bottle, Canada's first and most famous Canadian whiskey since 1858, is the official spirit of the Bombers. And they've got a special Bomber label bottle, perfect for the push to the playoffs and, of course, Grey Cup revelry. Grab that while supplies last at Manitoba Liquor Marts, and while you're at it, grab a CC Club Pack with the great taste of Canadian Club and ginger ale, the Citrus Smash, and the Half and Half for your enjoyment and pleasure. And remember, always drink responsibly. Let's get the hammer in here and get going. Big edition of CFL 110 was recorded a couple days ago. It is available for you on the Winnipeg Sports Talk channel. And we got some Jets to talk about. We got some Bombers to talk about, and a big Thanksgiving weekend coming up. What's going on? How are you?
Not too bad, Huss. Looking forward to the weekend, like I'm sure many are. I've already got my practice in front of the mic. I was on with your friends, our friends in Edmonton Sports Talk this morning, teeing up the Bomber game, and found out later that my this thing was knocking on my collar. So I only found that out too late. So I got to fix that moving down the road. But I know Remo's always in my ear when that happens. But looking forward to chopping up Winnipeg related stuff. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I mean, this is, I'm definitely ready for a long weekend. And I mean, listen, between the excitement of these Blue Jays games, which is going to get going on Sunday for game 1 of the ALCS, with a huge Bomber game on Saturday. We got 2 Jet games as well, a full slate of NFL. I mean, this is a fun weekend.
You already had a lot to give thanks to, Huss, heading into this weekend. Never mind the slate of sports here.
Exactly. So I'm ready for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, of course, we've got 2 Jet games. We've got this 12:30 home game tomorrow and then a noon game on Monday. So the deck is the plate is full. Sports-wise, watching coming up on the weekend. Listen, I do want to dive into this big game for the Bombers and the playoff picture in the CFL, but what did you think of the opener last night? We'll get to the game in a minute, but we've been talking about it all summer. I mean, how cool of a moment it was going to be with Jonathan Toews returning as a Winnipeg Jet to the ice. And Patrick Sharp was at the game, tons of friends and family, and a moment that I think a lot of fans and Jonathan Toews himself remember for a long time as he was introduced to an incredible ovation last night as he returned to the league.
Yeah, and I'm sure that moment was obviously really special for him, his parents, family being in the stands. I'm sure while he was collecting Stanley Cups in Chicago, maybe he had thought one day he'd be in Winnipeg, maybe not, but for sure would have thought maybe the idea was cool. And certainly after signing this past off season, after the journey he's been through, and while I know they've tried to some degree to not make him the story in Winnipeg, they've also plastered him all over the place, right? Like it's almost like their team PR and their content management team aren't on the same page as far as how much Jonathan Toews should be promoted, but he's obviously been the story. So I imagine all this build up, all the questions about playing hockey and his body and what can we expect from him this year. I think it was nice for him to just soak in that emotion from the crowd and that by far the longest and loudest celebration amongst the team. So, obviously didn't get the result he wanted, but, I think that was a major, I don't say hurdle because it's not like, but I would think it was one of those things he wanted to enjoy, but he probably wanted to get past and kind of get into the grind of a hockey season and not make it about himself, right?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I thought as far as the game he had, I mean, there was a few moments where that line was really dangerous. It was really fun kind of just watching him, sometimes focusing him on shifts and, his spatial awareness and being in the right place and, things he was able to do defensively was really impressive. And as I say, hopefully it's just onward and upward from here. Played almost 18 minutes last night. And I will say this, I'll make an argument that we might want to see JT on that power play sometime soon while Cole Perfetti's out right now because the special teams was a huge part of the game. They did get the 2 shorties, but they also were, Dallas, I think, was 4 for 5, Remis said, on the power play. A lot of that with 3 men on the ice for the Jets, but still lots of work to do so far. Another guy that had a pretty nice night at the office was Kyle Connor. I mean, what a 48 hours for him. Signs a record-breaking contract with the Winnipeg Jets to stay here for basically his entire career, and then picks up Jeff right where he left off, being one of the top goal scorers in the National Hockey League with 3 in game number 1.
Yeah, and you know this guy's made for game one, right? I mean, he's made for game 1 through 82, but we've seen the success that he's had in that game one. I mean, someone posted his stats not long ago. Like he's tucked the last
seven straight years now.
7 straight? Seven or 8 or somewhere around there.
I think it's 8 now.
Yeah, I think it maybe improved to 8 with the game last night. So obviously a big performer right off the bat, but this one seemed almost fairy tale, right? And as you mentioned, coming so close to after the big contract, the record-setting contract, the 8-year commitment, all those things, right? That Jets fans love to see, and to follow that up with the kind of game you had. Now, obviously, would have been a lot more exciting with a victory, but you see that kind of firepower. And I wasn't going to go into the whole, like, you sign your contract and you put your feet up. I never believed that. Like, I mean, obviously it brings financial security to you, but I never believed a player just goes, okay, like I got my bag. Now I'm going to, whatever. But I guess there's always that potential. That certainly was the opposite case with Kyle Connor right off the bat, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that as we move down through this season and through ultimately that 8-year contract he has.
Hey, you know what? We didn't get a chance to talk about this, but I mean, just from your perspective, I mean, what do you think the significance of the fact that, I mean, not only they got Kyle Connor signed, which I think from an organizational, a city, a franchise, was the key. Keeping, a top player like that certainly would have had a lot of money, potentially more, I believe more on the table if he did wait it out, have another good season and go to free agency. But also the timing of it, to get it done the day before the home opener and not have to deal with any of the questions that would have inevitably been on all of our minds if he was in the Ehlers situation last year as a pending UFA.
Yeah, I mean, you really could look at this as literally the last minute, right? I mean, that's, that is one of those deadlines that you want to hit. I'm not saying that if it would have been a week later, it would have been like, bad news or anything or whatnot. But, once you get into the season, that's often when players don't want to talk about it. They don't want the team, Kevin Scheifele off, and we read Mark Chipman was involved in this kind of stuff. Like this isn't the kind of conversations you want to have during the season. You're too focused on the task at hand. And Connor knows that too, right? Kyle Connor's camp knows that. It's very often the player, also doesn't want to have these conversations if they're going to go into the season, because you don't want updates every, whatever those updates, the frequency of those updates come, but you don't want that feeling lingering in your head. So obviously it's a great situation for both sides. I do think it's an interesting timing in the sense of what we saw, obviously, with Kaprizov and signing that $17 million AAV. Obviously, a lot of people looked at that and thought, okay, well, how far back, if at all, is Kyle Connor in that equation? And certainly when you were considering his negotiations at the time, you all of a sudden 11 million turned to 12 million, right? And maybe even more if he went to the open market. But I do think I think it's a sign of the times. This is a massive contract. It's the Jets, kudos to them, put pen to paper. That was one that they dreaded coming, right? As they were able to kind of fit everybody under Mark Scheifele's contract, outside of Kyle Connor, of course, for the most part. And so, I think this kind of sets a new bar, and we'll see what happens moving forward. I think it's going to be a really interesting time, obviously, in the NHL, but particularly here in Winnipeg. There's already been challenges with the salary cap and paying to the salary cap and being a Stanley Cup, driven team, especially when you factor in that it's you pay these players in American dollars, right? That's going to be a serious situation for Winnipeg. I'm not trying to add any doom and gloom to Kyle Connor's contract, but it is really nice that the Winnipeg Jets now have Kyle Connor locked up, Mark Scheifele locked up, Connor Hellebuck locked up, Morrissey in for a couple more years. So it's obviously Dylan Sandberg for a little bit now extra. So those are some really good pieces to have locked up at a time where contracts, whether you're a fourth line grinder, third line, depth player or a shutdown guy or a top six forward, your price tag is going up. So I think it is a good piece of business. And I think while it does pay him till his late 30s, I think there's going to be a lot more good times than necessarily potentially bad times under that contract for Kyle.
Good stuff. Jeff Hamilton's with us. Hammer, we'll speak more Jets. Ken's going to join us in a few minutes. Big game tomorrow night for both the Bombers and the Edmonton Elks. Weekly on CFL 110 all year, we've been following the landscape of the league. And over the last month, it's become very evident that we were in for an end of the season that I think was a little bit more different and a lot more exciting and interesting than in previous years. This game is a perfect example of that. Edmonton playing for their playoff lives, the Bombers right in the middle of a mix of a possibility of being out of the playoffs or hosting a playoff game. And for both teams, a massive high leverage tilt on Saturday in Edmonton. Thoughts on the challenge for the Bombers going in as slight favorites against an Edmonton team that since Cody Fajardo has taken over has been right in every single game. And probably if they'd gone to him a little earlier or had better luck in maybe one close game, could be in even a better position right now to end this playoff drought.
Yeah, possibly, for sure. I mean, that's the big question coming out of Edmonton is what if, right? But, as far as this game goes, I've seen this movie before. I've seen this movie before in the last few seasons, right? Where Edmonton craps the bed to start the season, kind of loses their playoff hopes around mid-year, makes this, starts playing playoff-like football at the end of July, and then by now is kind of in a fight for their lives, right? I mean, this was last year's narrative where they went into Bombers, I'll remind viewers, were also winning games down the stretch right after starting 2-6. They only lost one game, I think, down the remainder of the regular season. So they were also riding hot, but Edmonton had won like 6 of their previous 7 games and were the hottest team in the league and whatever. And a similar story in Hamilton not long after that last year, right? Same as they fought for their playoff lives. And the Bombers have just routinely gone into Edmonton and delivered justice. Like, it's just, so I'm not saying, like, I think maybe Cody Fajardo is the X factor here because he's kind of a Bomber killer. We talked about this on CFL 110. He's a guy that we know, like others in the league, that isn't going to give up, right? So it's not, there's going to be no deficit that's too great for him to want to come back on. And he has a reputation of beating Winnipeg in key moments, right? Obviously the Grey Cup a couple of years back, led them in that way. And it just seems like when the cards are stacked against Cody Fajardo, that he ends up on the right side of things. And so those are the two things that I'm weighing. The movie that I've watched the last couple of years and seen play out, I'm predicting probably a 5-point win by Winnipeg because, again, that's the movie I've seen. Or Cody Fajardo is this new antagonist that comes into play, is able to get the job done, and for the sake of Winnipeg fans, in this analogy, the villain, comes through with it. I don't know. The thing with me in Edmonton right now, Huss, and again, to that whole same movie theme, you can only play playoff football for so long. Right? Like, eventually you're tired, you're worn out, you're whatever, but they have been getting things done recently. So there is a bit of confidence there. But I still don't think they have the horses. Like, I look up and down that roster. If you can shut down Justin Rankin and you can reel in, Keon Julian Grant, and you can keep an eye on Cody Fajardo, I'm not saying it's going to be a breeze, but there's no reason that Winnipeg can't continue their winning ways and try to push up through the standings. As you mentioned, there's still potential for this team to finish in second place, first technically, I think, but second is more likely or possible. So they got plenty to play for here. So it's not just them fighting for their playoff lives. It's Winnipeg also jockeying for the best position. And if anyone knows the importance of hosting playoff games, it's Winnipeg.
Oh man, there's no doubt about it, and it's a wild array of possibilities for the Bombers, going from potentially hosting, in the first round as the number 2 team, to playing on the road in either Calgary or BC, or potentially to going over as the crossover, or not in the playoffs. That's the one thing. That one seems a little less likely. Like, that's a number game that, like, but this is the crazy football league for a reason, Huss. So let's not be quick to eliminate the opportunity. Yeah, the one thing I think that plays in the Bombers' favor is I don't think that Montreal is going to need to win that final game of the year. And in all likelihood, Montreal is going to be playing at home the following week as the number 2 seed in the East, assuming that Hamilton finishes the job and gets the win. They have the tiebreaker. But if the Riders had the opportunity to potentially have the Bombers not part of the playoff party next week, it would be all hands on deck in Saskatchewan to get that win. So now there is some as of right now, Nick Dembski's listed as doubtful. And, John Hodge and a number of people had mentioned, it was clear, Dembski put it out that he and his partner have been expecting their second child. He had missed practice for 3 straight days and was put on was listed as doubtful. And first off, hope everything's going well. I mean, I have no knowledge of the situation, but just hope everything is good. If the Bombers are without Nick Dembski, I mean, the good news is you got Zach Collaros back, and Collaros looked incredible against Hamilton. But Nick is such an important part of this Bomber offense. I mean, outside of Brady Oliveira or Zach Collaros, I mean, it's hard to imagine a player who's more indispensable to what this team does on offense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not having Nick Dembski versus having Nick Dembski, it's obvious. You want Nick Dembski in the lineup. To your point, I don't know what's going on. I do know that his wife was pregnant, of course, being around the team as often as I am. And so that could be one of the reasons or the reason or whatnot. So, that's obviously a celebratory thing. And whether or not that leads to a last second flight, we've seen that that wouldn't be unprecedented to be there for the
baby
arrival
swag,
of your child.
We'd be hitting every Nick Dembski prop if he somehow shows up in Edmonton.
Exactly. And all of a sudden we're getting a T.Y. Hilton-esque post-game interview, right? Holding his baby, right? So yeah, exactly. So for those bettors out there, keep an eye on that. That being said, Huss, and I'm not trying to make this argument like pro not having Nick Dembski, but hey, and I know it's not Ottawa, and I was going to make this quick joke. It's like he didn't get that catch that game, and they won with 3 passes or whatever it was. I just think they have other weapons, and I'm not saying they have other weapons that they want to have a lineup without him. I don't know if that's enough, because if you want to look and you want to compare, rosters or bodies on rosters, go look at Edmonton's receivers, right? Like Curly Gittins Jr. is their number one. It's kind of okay, not dissing them. It's just kind of they're, if you were to compare, even if you took Nick Dembski out, you still have some potential. The other good news is Dylan Mitchell played well last game. So can he build off that, right? Is it,
Stearns
in
back
those guys,
too.
Stearns is a huge piece. Huge piece. And you heard Zach Collaros mention that post game after saying how important he is and how much he brings to the lineup and his versatility and all that. And he's kind of reminds me a little bit of not like a Dembski, almost like a Drew Wolitarsky, not in style or whatever, but in reliability. He's the guy who's always in the right position where he needs to be, and Zach's found him quite often. So I mean, and then there's other ways of adding Brady Oliveira to the to the air attack, right? Getting him more involved in those situations. So, I do think it's, again, not an ideal situation for Winnipeg, but, given the opponent, given who they have, given the way they're playing, I think that this is if you can't get past this kind of thing, you're in more trouble than you think.
What's on the tap for your long weekend, Hammer?
Plenty of thanks. Obviously,
yes,
gonna try to take. I got a couple family events here. It's so funny. I used to not really love Thanksgiving weekend. It had nothing to do with, anything other than kind of feeling like it was, especially when I was in school. I just felt like I had homework every day during the September or the October long weekend. But now I've really leaned into it. I'm really looking forward to some meals and whatnot. I was going to say, you said those Jets games. Might have to head down there for a breakfast for one of those. I'm sure on Monday is going to have all the fixings and stuff, but going to have breakfast before that. But anyways, my weekend's going to be fine. Garage sales are done. I know people have been asking me about it. There's no more stragglers left, everyone, but the weather's been nice, and I'll try to take full advantage of it. And to your point earlier, to start off this interview, talk about a slate of games. So I'll probably be stuck a little bit outside, but a lot inside watching my TV. So we'll see.
Blue Jays too, Chiefs, Lions on Sunday night. I was pumped. Our, family stuff is happening. We're not doing the regular Thanksgiving, which I am fully in support of, because it's going to be Jays games on Sunday and Monday, the Sunday nighter with the Chiefs, the other games. So we'll do a nice dinner next week on hopefully a couple of the off days and see mom and dad and do that stuff. Hey, listen, great stuff as always. Have an awesome weekend, and we'll get right at it coming out of the weekend with another edition of CFL 110 coming up next Tuesday, picking apart the latest on the playoff races in both the East and the West. Have a good one, dude.
Yeah, I look forward to breaking it all down. That's the beauty of this gig here, Huss. There's things just keep happening, and we get to keep talking about them. So look forward to next week, chopping it all up.
Right on. Appreciate it. There's Jeff Hamilton, again, CFL 110, weekly Tuesdays. We did it Wednesday this week because of something happening on Wednesday, but we'll be back at it right out of the long weekend as the push to the playoffs and the Grey Cup right here in Winnipeg continue. Speaking of the Bombers, of course, Princess Auto Stadium will be the place to be next week. Bombers and Riders on the 17th, and then the final regular season game will be Bombers Montreal. Fingers crossed if things shake out the Bombers' way, we'll be back one more time in the West Semi, but still a lot of work to be done for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Of course, Princess Auto, proud sponsors and supporters of the Blue and Gold, and the home of the Bombers and the 2025 Grey Cup, Princess Auto Stadium. Princess Auto is where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new waiting for you at Princess Auto. Pop by and see them, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, out in Brandon, or shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. A big happy Thanksgiving to our friends over at Manitoba Battery. Donnie and the gang will be welcoming in and, doing all that Thanksgiving stuff over the course of the weekend, watching the Jets and the Bombers. And starting on Tuesday, folks, it is Customer Appreciation Week, just in time for winter at Manitoba Battery. They want to thank Winnipeggers for keeping it local and trusting Manitoba Battery to keep your vehicles running and helping Manitoba Battery grow. And to celebrate, all automotive batteries are just $99. Are you serious? Yes, Donnie is serious. Plus, they've got giveaways, prizes, and games all week long, including your chance to win a $500 Visa gift card. So come see the team at Manitoba Battery, north or south, Logan Avenue in the north, Dovercourt Drive in the south end of the city. Manitoba Battery, where gratitude powers everything we do. Manitoba Battery, powering what matters most. Donnie and the gang, pop by and see them next week. Get ready for winter. All automotive batteries, just $99. Ken's going to be coming up in a moment, but it is Friday, and it is the day that we dive in to the Chuds Power Sports Power Poll. Shout out to the Derminator. I know the Chuds crew is going to be ready for a big Thanksgiving weekend. They're ready for the marble race a little later on, and they are ready for winter. Check out chudspowersports.com. If you haven't been out to their spot in Gimli, corner of Highway 8 and 231, it is truly the power sports superstore in town. And, we were mentioning they were sponsoring the dirt bike riders who were finishing up their season last weekend. They do have street bikes. They've got dirt bikes, ATVs, UTVs, tons of boats. As you think about ice fishing, got an incredible selection of RVs and ice houses and those wild vehicles. I'm just obsessed with these Argos and the Sasquatches. We'll have to maybe see if Dermot can get us on one of those at some point this year. But of course, winter is just around the corner. Scream-worthy savings for Halloween are starting now on Polaris and Arctic Cat sleds. So head on down, see Dermot and the fellas at Chuds Power Sports. Now into their 9th decade, over 80 years of serving Manitobans in it. But I do want to get to our Chuds Power Sports Power Poll. And I will let Ken Wiebe discuss this when we come back. But the NHL Power Poll is this. The number 5 team, the Tampa Bay Lightning. The number 3 team, Colorado Avalanche. Number 3 is the Dallas Stars. Number 2 is the Edmonton Oilers. And until they lose, even without Alex Barkov, to be the man, you got to beat the man, Ric Flair always said. The Florida Panthers are the number 1 team on the power poll right now. We'll see how long they can last. But that is where we start the National Hockey League power poll. Liz and Connor will have another fun power poll for Chuds Power Sports coming up on Sunday Live. And just in case you were wondering where I'm at with the NFL power poll, there's been a big shakeup in that. It was Philly and Buffalo on top of it last week. Well, Philly, on account of still being the champs, is on the power poll. They're number 5, Barely. The number 4 team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 4-1. The Bills have fallen to number 3 after losing at home to the Patriots last week. And from not ranked to number 2, at some point we're going to have to start giving the Indianapolis Colts some credit on their start to the season. They're 4-1. They have looked phenomenal. And really, if it wasn't for a bizarre play with that Adonai Mitchell, probably should be 5-0. With that crazy way their game turned and they're in their lone loss of the year on the road to the Rams. And the number 1 team, hopefully not for long, I'm going to give the nod to the Detroit Lions, 4-1 as well. Chiefs and Lions coming up this weekend at Arrowhead on Sunday Night Football. Your power polls on Winnipeg Sports Talk brought to you by our friends at Chud's Power Sports in Gimli. Check them out online, chudspowersports.com, or pop by, say hi to Dermot and the great staff over at Chud's. All right, let's welcome in our pal Ken Wiebe. Lots to talk about coming out of last night's opener. And first and foremost, it was nice just to finally see you and Rennie getting back to work on K&R. Nice show last night to kick things off for another great season of Jets Talk. How are you?
Very well, Andrew. Great to be with you on this beautiful Friday. Yeah, great to be back to work. We've had lots of time to gear up for it. Had some, as you know, fun last weekend in Toronto. Nice to see the building full and shaking again in playoff baseball. But time for some puck. Let's get her going. And
this is just a quick question for Remis. Is Ken pulling a Rennie right now?
Yeah,
and not having the mic selected?
No,
doesn't look like it's plugged in.
It is plugged in. I'm having some computer woes here. It seemed to work last night on our show. I was hoping it would magically work today, but
do you unplug it and replug it?
It's there's an issue. Yes, thank you.
Just hit it. Give it the fonts. Just give it a whack and then go,
Yeah.
Anyways, it's all good. It's all good. I just thought if we could get it, great. If not a big deal. Listen, there's so much to talk about for the actual game, but Ken, you've covered this team for a long time. As we got closer to last night, I got, just as a Winnipeg guy, as obviously a fan, someone that's, put a lot invested like so many people have into the Winnipeg Jets. I knew last night was going to be kind of a special beginning of the season. And, it really did have it all. It was so cool to see those banners for the first time up. I mean, a Central Division and a President's Trophy. I thought the piece they did with Adam Lowry speaking before was phenomenal, and good on Adam Lowry to kind of lean into that and be willing to do that. A lot of players probably wouldn't, but just goes to show how committed he is. And then the ovations for Mark Scheifele, the MVP chants for Connor Hellebuck, the welcome to Kyle Connor, and then, of course, that extended ovation for Jonathan Toews last night. The game didn't go the way the Jets wanted to, and we'll kind of talk about the X's and O's and what went wrong, but what a hell of a way to start it off for the Jets and their fans.
Yeah, a lot of hoopla going into it, Huss, as you talked about. And hey, I mean, we talked about it on this show. We've talked about it on various different points. I mean, a lot of people were looking forward to a lot of ovations, and they got those opportunities to provide those ovations in full, and they were impressive. Obviously, a big week for Kyle Connor. We'll dig into that a little bit more after we get through the preliminaries here, but yeah, I mean, the welcome, we knew there was going to be a little bit more emotion attached to the Mark Scheifele, Mark Scheifele's name being announced. I thought that he was greeted very warmly. A lot of the newcomers were greeted with a lot of cheers, and none bigger or louder than the ones reserved for number 19, the prodigal son, the pride of St. Vital, the homegrown talent in Jonathan Toews. And yeah, I mean, it was loud, and Huss, we talked about it personally too, but we wondered if, we know probably Jonathan would have hated it, but we wondered about the Michael Jordan treatment. But in the end, the Jets saved the last 3 spots for their leadership group, and fittingly so probably. But yeah, I mean, good on Manitobans and those folks in the building for recognizing all the players, but specifically the leadership group, Connor Hellebuck, and obviously the Jonathan Toews ovation was an interesting and fun moment. I mean, people had been looking forward to that for a long time. I think including Jonathan, even though he didn't kind expand on it. It's tough to expand on that kind of a moment after a tough loss where the team is a bit flat for a good chunk of the game, prior to the, revved up, hair pulling comeback attempt. But yeah, it was a fun moment. I mean, at the morning skate, Andre and Brian were there, his folks were there. Patrick Sharp showing up for the game. That's a really nice touch. I'd mentioned to you, previously that I'd spoken with Brent Seabrook, who has been, one of Jonathan's best friends, roommate the first year Jonathan broke into the league. They're very close, very fired up for him. And, I'm sure he had a ton of friends and family members in attendance to kind of soak it all in. And, short of scoring on this glorious chance that he had, I thought that Jonathan had a pretty good start to his good baseline to start his Jets career and this sort of restart with us. I mean, there are a lot of smart plays. His hockey IQ was on display throughout, a couple nice passes. And, like I said, the great scoring chance that just sailed wide, but a lot of good things for him to build on. And what was, first NHL game in 2.5 years, you don't see that from a lot of people at all. But again, he's always going to be hard on himself, but I thought that was a pretty good baseline for him. And he's going to be getting better as the games wear along here.
Hey, you know what? Just speaking of Toews, I was saving this for when you came on because we were listening to Scott Arniel a little earlier. Remo, if you can, just tee up these two Toews clips because I think people will be interested to hear from the man himself how he thought last night went. This is JT after his Winnipeg Jets debut and return to the National Hockey League last night on getting back on the ice and the game last night that was.
I guess you got to work for your own breaks. So there's some moments there midway through the game where I felt a little bit frustrating. Things were going against us a little bit, but we got to find a way to make things a little bit harder on them and work for our own breaks going our way. So, we had a big game by Cons and some big goals there at the end to make it close, but it's a little too late. Just, it's close, but, a lot of room for improvement, a lot of little things I can do better. Definitely trying to start the play with the puck off the face-offs and didn't really get that going for my line out there. But other than that, there were some situations where the three of us created and had some chances, and even on the power play as well. So I was pretty close to making things happen, getting us on the board as well. And so I think there's some positives that I'm excited about, so just keep trying to build on it.
What was it like, though, emotionally, just after 2+ years being back out there and hearing that crowd, everything?
Yeah, I think it's just really exciting before the game, and once you kind of get your legs under you, just go out there and play. So as the game went along, just trying not to think about it too much and just enjoyed it. And you enjoy it when you play your best, so just try and find a way to do that.
We were I mean, obviously, listen, it was great to see him back on the ice, but it's still Jonathan Toews. I mean, my takeaway from that is that, it was all nice. He's pissed off they lost, and that is a competitor, and probably would have been a bigger smile afterwards the game. Just thoughts. I mean, that entire line is basically new. I mean, Chibrakov's had a cup of coffee. Nyquist was signed in the offseason. Toews was signed in the offseason. Thoughts on that line overall, and what you think they'll be looking to do as we kind of get into the schedule?
Yeah, so I memean, the thing with Toews, again, sour. His night was 47%. He absolutely despises being under 50, and he just sort of like the way Hellebuck wants to play 82. JT wants 100% in the face-off circle, and he might be reasonably happy with 60. So when it's at 47, he was a little bit sour about that. And again, that just goes back to the competitive nature. In terms of the line, it wasn't a ton of cohesion. I thought that there was some chemistry with Nyquist and Toews during that second period power play specifically. There were a couple other moments during the game, but they had that extended look on the power play where it was almost like a game of keep away there for a while. But I didn't really see that line get going. I mean, Nikita Chibrikov is a guy we've loved the way that he's played previously when he's come up. To me, he just looked a bit nervous. So that's how I would describe it. I thought maybe a little bit, again, it's a guy adjusting to the system. It just wasn't as free flowing as we've been used to seeing. And, we joked about this. Scott Arniel used the term bugger out there, trying to keep it PG. I didn't see as much of the feistiness that we've come to enjoy about that part of his game. Now, again, it's one game, a small sample size, probably a little bit nervous. First NHL opener, first NHL home opener, playing with a legend, trying to find his way, knowing there's an opportunity with Cole Perfetti on the shelf for an extended period of time, Huss. I expect Nikita Chibrikov to be better in game 2 is how I would put it. And by no means am I blaming him for that line not, lighting it up for 18 scoring chances. But he's established a standard. Again, I'm not asking him to be a point-a-game player or a point-8-a-game player, but I just need a little bit more out of Chibrikov in terms of his abilities, because he has that ability in him. And he's got the 2-year extension, the 2-year one-way extension, which is great for him. That kicks in next year. I expect him to get more and more comfortable as these games move along here, because he won the job over Brad Lambert in training camp, but by no means is he cemented in the second line role until Perfetti's back. That's just not where he's at in his career. And again, I'm not here to dump extra pressure on him, but having covered the American League for 10 years, when one of your cohorts is also kept on the roster ahead of a guy who was put on waivers who had been here for 6 years, you got to win the competition. So you won the first leg of the competition, but now the competition is really starting. So Chibrikov needs to elevate. I thought Gustav Nyquist showed some moments, like a little bit slippery at times. But that line didn't have a ton of extended offensive zone time, but neither did any of the Jets lines for the most part either. So that's why we saw Alex Iafallo get that bump in the third period there. They flip-flopped Chibrikov and Iafallo just to sort of see if they could get a little bit shaken. I liked Iafallo's game, liked what he brought to the line. The line is going to need to be better. We've talked about it for months now. Second line is a big question mark for the Jets, especially with Perfetti not available right now. And those guys are going to have to produce a little bit more moving forward for the Jets to be contending for the Central Division. But again, it's not all doom and gloom. You knew there was going to be a bit of an adjustment period for everyone. Jets have another tough opponent coming in, and I expect them to be better. I mean, not just that line, but all 4 lines and 3 defense pairs were a little too loose in general. Not just one specific line, but they were sort of bleeding scoring chances for a little bit of time there, or not even a little. It was an extended period in the second and then early in the third. But I think that to a fault, every player could probably have been a little bit better. But I'd also say, and again, I understand the folks up in arms about over certain things, but if Connor Hellebuyck's not sharp in the second period, that's a 7-1 game, not a 5-4 game.
No, agreed on that. I thought Helly made some big saves, and most of the goals that went in, I mean, there were kind of no chancers, either tap-ins or wide open nets and whatnot. Yeah. By the way, we do have the why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly McGillivray up in the chat, just finishing up this poll. But question to all of you is, how would you grade the Jets' performance last night? Some positives, some mistakes. That actually ended up being 50%, pretty fair. Way too sloppy. That might have been Scott Arniel voting. The 31%. Rough start all around 11, and great fight, fun game 8%. In the chat for the why not question of the day. Ken, listen, we talked about the forwards. I think we really did see the challenges that arise when Dylan Sandberg's out of the lineup. And just thoughts on that pairing. And do you think that they run the same defense pairs tomorrow? Or is this going to be a work in progress of a number of guys going in, maybe playing in some different spots over the course of the first couple of weeks, knowing that Sandberg is not coming back anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that Dylan Sandberg was missed. We saw this for ample time last year when he missed games. The Jets don't have a ton of guys like him on their back end. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be challenging when he's out, no matter what the pairings are or who you have in and out. Just based on the time of game tomorrow, 12:30 game with no morning skate. I don't think there were changes to the defense pairings today. Yes, maybe Colin Miller worked in a little bit, but I just do think that they're probably going to give it another game here. We always talk about small sample sizes, and hey, let's not kid ourselves. Third pairing needed to be better. Second pairing needed to be better. Top pairing probably thinks they can be better also, but I thought they handled their minutes pretty well. But yeah, I mean, kind of one unlucky one for Hayden Fleury, the one where he lost his stick. Tough to blame him on that one, but Again, the third pairing struggled. Like there's no way around that. They're going to have to be better. Like I said, I expect Luke Schenn to have a strong year a good bounce back year with the Winnipeg Jets. That pairing had some challenges.
I just have questions whether
quite a bit.
I have questions just whether that pairing can succeed together.
Well, it's why they tried Pionk and Stanley Huss, right? I mean, in the exhibition, I think that we've seen it. Schenn, Fleury has had some strong moments as a pairing together. In order for Stanley Schenn to work better, that's going to need to be clear the front of the net better. I actually thought that Luke Schenn had some very good exits, but yeah, much like a lot of the team, that pairing seemed a little bit disconnected in the game. And again, we know that foot speed is not a strength for that pairing, so they're going to have to, get by with their physical play and moving the puck a little bit more efficiently.
Just on that, do you think that is a pair that is more likely thrown out at home with the last change? I do wonder whether Arnie will be as confident to have those guys in the lineup as a pairing playing on the road when. Listen, they've done a good job, and whether it's been Stanley or a number of times, kind of sheltering that third pairing and get them into situations that, sets them up to succeed, not having the toughest matchups. And listen, we saw some rough times last night. I guess we'll see, but I do wonder whether there might be a kind of maybe a more balance between those two pairings. And it's easy to say without Dylan Samberg. Easier to say to do than get without Samberg. But I do wonder if that's more a pairing that it's more likely to be thrown out at home as opposed to on the road if they are going to play them in multiple games moving forward.
Yeah, it's definitely a fair comment, Huss, and I would agree with you. And again, I think that we're going to see Josh Morrissey. I know he already is a minute muncher, heavy minute guy, and Logan Stanley's minutes were down. I think for the most part yesterday, they weren't. I think he got above 10, but he wasn't in the 15 range. I don't believe here, but. I think you're going to see the Jets lean on Josh Morrissey a little bit more, and that's maybe double shifting. You get to get him out with Schenn for. I'm not saying Stanley won't play at all, but I think you might see a couple shifts get skipped and see Josh get a couple extra opportunities. We saw that what we're seeing a little bit more too. Pionk and Morrissey getting a couple offensive zone starts. You're going to see that kind of happen for them also, but. Yeah, it's an open competition, Huss, and much like I said about Chibrikov, the third pair is wide open. The Jets have leaned on Colin Miller in the past, whether that's going to mean trying him on the left side or, shuffling him in a little bit on a platoonish situation. But yeah, nothing is set in stone for the Jets pairings. We know that Hayden Fleury played better on the third pairing than the second pairing last year. It's not a surprise, but this is a mobile guy that, can be effective when he's playing an assertive game. And I thought, there were some strong moments for him in that game yesterday as well. But yeah, the facts are when Neil Pionk beside Dylan Samberg looks different than Neil Pionk beside, anybody not named Josh Morrissey. So the Jets are going to have to find a way to get a little bit more cohesion with their defense pairings, the second and third pairings specifically. And again, we know this from my conversation with Dylan DeMello. He wants to be better than he was last year also. Not that he had a terrible year, but it wasn't peak Dylan DeMello, and I don't just mean offensively. He wasn't as happy with how he played his overall game last year with Josh Morrissey. And in order for the Jets to be a Stanley Cup contender, they need that pairing, driving the bus for them, especially with Samberg being on the shelf here. And Neil Pionk will take some of that responsibility too. He just got a big ticket extension. He needs a big minute guy also, and he's going to want to contribute a lot as well.
Wiebe, I mentioned this quickly earlier on in the program, but our pal the Gus Bus on waivers yesterday and cleared today. Were you surprised that he cleared? And just maybe speak to his challenge now going to the Manitoba Moose to be a guy that they lean on when needed to come back with the big club, considering it seems that he's sort of been passed by a couple of the young players, at least after training camp.
Yeah, quick things, obviously, that stand out for me. Yeah, mildly surprised that he cleared, Huss. I think this is a timing is everything type of moment here. I think if there were a couple other teams that either had injury woes or if there were more teams in the tankathon mode, Huss, if you will, I think that David Gustafsson is an excellent plug-and-play player that would have had some appeal to as many as 10 teams. But right now those teams are testing out their own prospects first. So the Jets' organizational depth obviously benefits from keeping David Gustafsson in the system. What we know is that the Jets are looking to get faster and harder to play against. And, David does a lot of things very well. He's a very conscientious two-way player. He makes the people around him better. But unfortunately for him, he's sort of plateaued a bit when it comes to his offensive game, even though his skating has improved. But he's not a burner. He's not super physical. He doesn't play a shy game, Huss, but he's also not as physical as Cole Koepke or as Parker Ford. So for a team trying to get faster and harder to play against, that sort of has allowed some others to pass him. And I know people will argue that Tanner Pearson's not, as fleet of foot either. Well, Tanner Pearson's also a big body, and he's got a Stanley Cup ring. And last year he had 12 goals in mostly a fourth line role. David Gustafsson has never been a double-digit guy. Now, I know his opportunities have been limited. This is a good thing for him, Huss, in a lot of ways in terms of his playing time. And again, I don't think we've seen the last of David Gustafsson in the National Hockey League, Huss, and maybe not even with the Jets. But now he's going to a situation where there's a lot of people competing for those call-up jobs. I mean, we know this. Mason Shaw just named captain. Phil DiGiuseppe, alternate captain. So these are also guys with NHL experience. Samuel Fagemo also. Like a lot of the guys the Jets are going to be calling up in the next couple of months here, they're guys with NHL experience. David Gustafsson is one of those guys, but he's going to have to distinguish himself as being better than some of the guys beside him. I think it'll create a very good environment for competition with the Manitoba Moose as well.
Yeah, Moose home opener tonight, by the way, gang. And I'll just for anyone that was at the game that wandered downstairs around 1:25 to see that incredible display of the hardware from last season. I mean, the lineup basically went around the building to get photos. So today might be a great chance. Of course, the Moose at home Friday and Sunday. Jets again tomorrow at 12:30. And the Jennings, the Vezina, the Hart, and the President's Trophy all there on display. And I know fans were getting pictures and all of that.
Kenny, welcome back for Pascal Vincent also with Laval, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I did. I'll be honest. I didn't even notice who. I didn't even note who they were playing. But
sure.
That'll be great, and I'm sure particularly Moose fans will welcome Pascal back with open arms. It should be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the Moose. And we had a great chat with Braden Yeager yesterday. Yeah. He seems to be ready to go. Speaking of guys that want to be right there near the top of the list when a call up may arise.
Yes,
and,
sir.
It just looks night and day from the squad that they had last year, and I know it was a real organizational priority to have this team be more competitive and to have these young players in situations very different than the last couple of years where they were near the bottom of the standings and just trying to play meaningful games down the stretch. This is a team that wants to make the playoffs and wants to take a run at a Calder Cup and give those young players playoff experience. And it all starts tonight down at Canada Life Center. Back to last night, though. We got to talk about special teams. And I'll start it off with the power play. It was kind of ironic that they got 2 goals on special teams. They were both shorthanded, Ken. We knew that the loss of Nikolai Ehlers would be impactful. Adding to that, the loss of Cole Perfetti, I thought was, we were seeing it right now. I mean, what did you see from the power play and what needs to happen moving forward? Because pretty hard not to look at Dallas's power play numbers and Winnipeg power play numbers and realize that was a huge impact on the final score.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, power play needs to be better, a little bit crisper. But again, small sample size, and the Stars have been one of the best penalty killing teams in the league. They were very aggressive on their penalty kill yesterday as well. At various times, the Jets, they had some issues early with zone entries, then got them going. The attack wasn't quite as fluid as we've seen in years past, especially last year. And then their retrievals weren't quite as good. But I mean, again, I thought that the best power play the Jets had probably was the one in the second period. And that's the one that the second unit started, Huss, and they had about a minute 30 almost of zone time on that one there. And again, it didn't.
Connor never got on the ice.
Didn't happen. Yeah, that's one of the things you don't expect to see there. But again, almost had the backdoor redirection for Tews. That was the Gabe Vilardi move on the other post, right? That was that idea. Just missed the connection there. But again, really good zone time, moved the puck around. But again, after the 2 shorthanded goals, the power play getting the opportunity with just under 3 minutes left with the over the glass. Like, over the glass is a gift, right? That's a gift from above for any team. And when you have all that momentum, you expect, that's a massive opportunity for the Jets power play, which has been so good for them, over the last 12 months here. That was a big chance for them that didn't get converted. Now, again, it's game 1 and this isn't so you got to change everything or Toews has to be on the first unit immediately. But
that's what I was about to say.
But I mean, he's a guy who could go on it. I mean, I'm not saying that he won't go on it.
Let me offer right now, and listen, I got a lot of time for Alex Iafallo, but I mean, as long as Cole Perfetti's out, I would. Listen, maybe they go 3 for 4 tomorrow, and I look like a dummy on this one. But I mean, if it doesn't click right away, the one thing that we've seen from Toews very clearly, his handling of the puck, his stick. We know that he can get retrievals, and we saw it last night on a number of occasions, including towards the end of the game when they had the attacker, the sixth attacker out there.
Yeah, I love that play. On
Jonathan Toews can put the puck in the right spot. Like, to be honest, that's one of the things that stood out the most about just how good he was with the puck on his stick. I think he'd be a perfect addition if you swapped Iafallo out for Toews. I just think they have a better chance scoring right now. And listen, if that's the way it needs to be while Cole Perfetti's out, I don't have an issue with loading up that first power play unit, maybe playing them a little bit more, even if it's at the expense of the second power play unit, of which, as you mentioned, Jonathan Toews looked good on last night.
Yeah, so and just quickly on that front, and I'm with you. I mean, I think it's before Cole Perfetti returns, we're going to see Jonathan Toews get repetitions in that spot. There's no doubt in my mind. But this is also a little bit more related to the minutes, right? Jonathan Toews is already over 18 minutes yesterday, Husson, his first game in 2.5 years in the NHL. And yes, that got inflated a bit by the 1 power play that was extended there. But, and he didn't kill a ton of penalties, took some faceoffs, but didn't kill a ton of penalties. It would have been very easy for Scott Arniel to get him over 20 minutes, but that's right now they're trying to find the sweet spot for him. Is that 16 minutes? Is it 18? Is it eventually going to be 20? So if you're putting Jonathan on the first power play unit and that unit gets 4 or 5 chances, now those minutes are going up. And now, again, I understand those aren't taxing minutes, but I do think they're going to be inching towards that. But, much like in the past, Iafallo is a guy he's been productive on the power play. Huss. It obviously looks different, for him than for some other guys, and maybe even Toews included. But he's a really good guy on the retrievals front. He gets to the net really well, and he's been productive on that unit as well, which is why he got the first look. But yeah, I mean, put it in pen before Cole Perfetti returns from this ankle injury. Toews is going to get chances on that first unit, provided he can stay healthy. And yeah, I'm with you. Given his puck handling ability, vision, hockey IQ, all of those things, he's a great candidate to, be giving Davis Payne something to think about, even when Perfetti's back, right? I mean, that's the other part of this. He's been a top power play guy for a long time. I just think that it's, 18 minutes is not easing a guy into it, Huss, either. But I think they got to be careful with, finding the sweet spot, knowing what is a good number for him, and depending on the game and how physical it is and all those other things. I'm not saying it's about managing the minutes, but I think they're cognizant of those minutes, especially in a highly anticipated game for him as they move along. I think he'll be able to show and tell them if he can take a few more shifts and if he can get closer to 20 minutes. But I think out of the gate, kind of that 16 to 19 minute range is probably going to be preferable for the Jets when it comes to Toews. But I mean, Huss, you're thinking the same thing I am. If you're Scott Arniel and it's a 1-goal game, you're thinking about getting Toews out there like they did with the 6-on-5. So the opportunities are going to come. Even strength, shorthanded, 5-on-5 power play, 4-on-4. He was out there, I think, with Kyle Connor during the coincidental minors for Scheifele. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's if you and I are talking about it, I'm pretty sure David Spain has talked about it also, but I think that there's sort of, they're going to want to give it a little bit more runway, but won't be a ton of runway, won't be a 20-game runway before they test out that other option.
Well, no, and speaking of that, I'm just looking at Mike's report from practice today, and we'll just hit these Jet lines that are always presented by Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, your local leader for over 40 years in the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets, captain approved. So Connor Scheifele, Velarde together, Nemetsnikov in between Nyquist and Niederreiter, Toews in between Iafallo and Chibrikov, and then Barron, Koepke, and Pearson. A pretty interesting switch up there with Nyquist actually moving to Vlad's line and Iafallo, as you mentioned, moving with Chibrikov. And I don't know which one is the second line or the third line, to be honest, once you break it down that way.
Well, it's minutes, right? And with the minutes, that line was still, Toews' line had more minutes than Nemesnikov. So, like I said, Nyquist and Nemesnikov played most of the third together yesterday, and Scott Arniel referenced it this morning when he was asked about it by Connor, actually, Rabchuk. And just mentioned that the one game that Toews missed, the finale, exhibition finale against Calgary, he had Nemesnikov with Nyquist also, and they had maybe showed a little bit of chemistry in that game where, that was Nyquist's best game as in the preseason. Now, again, obviously early, but again, I think it makes a lot of sense on a lot of levels. And Niederreiter and Nemesnikov have played together at various points and had some chemistry also. So he also said it was a little bit more related to maybe some of the things that the Kings do in terms of their alignment and personnel also, that was probably a little bit, not just a little bit, it's a big part of that also.
All right, listen, I know we're going to be locked in tomorrow at 12:30 for the Kings game. We'll be locked in at noon on Monday afternoon for the Jets' first road game from the island. But I know you're going to be locked in. How are you feeling about the Blue Jays? And just quickly for people before we go, tell us about the experience last week at the games. I mean, I appreciated you. By the way, hilarious behind the scenes. I'm texting Ken at the game and said, "Oh man, I'm so jealous. Looks so great." And he's giving me there was all that stuff. The Savage game was so great. And I said, "Well, hey, give us a pic of what you're looking at. Give me the Ken cam." And he falls just with a selfie of himself in the seat. A little lost in translation, but quickly, how are the games?
Very often, I need a little bit of advice here. So I apologize for that.
The experience out there and thoughts on the upcoming ALCS, depending on who wins this Game 5 tonight between the Tigers and Mariners.
Yeah, just an incredible experience, Huss. I mean, honestly, the only thing that I've experienced that was better in that environment was bat flip game, which again, just ridiculous and bonkers that I was able to be at that on the way home from the Jets road trip that year in 2015. But the building was shaking. It's great to see the way that the community, and not just the community, Huss, but the country. I had friends that flew in from Calgary. David Forma brought his son to the game from Calgary. People were flying in. You're talking to people around you. They're from all over. I rode the up train with somebody from Halifax who has season tickets. It just it's an awesome community bonding kind of experience. The Vladdy homer, crazy game 1. The Vladdy Grand Slam, basically bananas in there. Place is shaking. Roof is open. 27 degrees. Trey is Savage, just an absolute beast. Beast mode effort. 11 strikeouts, no hits. I mean, I would love to have seen him stay in a little bit longer. Crazy. Both curtain calls, unbelievable. Huss, just great fun. Sat in the upper deck, loved every minute of it. Was able to secure a ticket for Game 7, but I did not get Game 6. So I'm I'm definitely scouring the secondary market. And Huss, if you have people in Ontario that are listening right now, get them in touch with me. We're still working on that Game 6er here, but Stacey and I have tickets for Game 7, and we're doing everything in our power to get to Game 6 also.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll be working on World Series tickets in a little bit as well. That's gonna. Who do you think wins?
Feeling good about the Jays' chances. I mean, again, it was a little bit dicey on the bullpen game, but
that was incredible. I mean,
they did awesome. Just going into it, I felt it was dicey.
Oh, no kidding! I thought it was negligent how you go into Game 4 of a division series with a bullpen game that you'd normally have maybe happen in the middle of July. But my God, listen, I've had a lot of questions at times over Schneider's term. hit all the right buttons. And you talk about everyone being a part of that win. 8 pitchers, all the guys that played, I mean, Straw, Lucas, Big Earn getting it done.
Yeah.
And listen, managers take a lot of heat when things blow up in their faces. It was a ballsy move to go the way they did, and it seemed like he pressed all the right buttons. It was just an amazing way to win that series and move on. Who do you like tonight? I mean, Skubal is so damn good.
Yeah.
To me, he's like Crochet. You just have to assume you're probably not winning when he's on the mound. That's not an option for the Mariners, though, if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, hard to beat an ace twice in a 5-game series. Huss and Seattle's already done it once. Yes, it was, so it's going to be tough for them. Tigers are a lot like the Blue Jays. They have some, a little bit of a understated lineup outside of the stars. Pitching incredible. The benefit for the Jays if the Tigers would win is that Skubal's not available till Game 3, so it's 3-7 for him. So Seattle is a scrappy team. Rosarena, great addition. Love what they did getting Naylor and Suarez at the deadline. Their pitching is tough, so no easy matchup. Just based on how poorly the Jays played against Seattle, where they blew the lead a couple years back in the playoffs, that'd be a fun environment also. But I do think it's the Tigers today, and it'll be a really fun series all around. But it's a fun time. The Jays going to the ALCS first time since 2016. I was at their only win in 2016 in Game 4 in Toronto. So love to see another one.
No doubt. Have a great weekend, pal. We'll see you at the rink. Thanks for doing this.
My pleasure. And Huss, start spreading the news, buddy. Yes. Have a great weekend.
I believe that was just about what John Schneider said after the game. Just about. There's Ken Wiebe at Wiebe's World. And, of course, Kenny and Rennie back. Fun seeing the fellas back together doing their thing last night post-game. Of course, we hit those jet lines all season long, brought to you by our friends at Clean Line Plumbing, locally owned, 40 years, the leader in plumbing services, both residential and a huge growing commercial business as well. The folks at Clean Line, incredible parts of the Winnipeg community, longtime sponsors of the Winnipeg Jets, and of course the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets. And as you've seen on the billboards all around the city, captain approved by one Adam Lowry. Check out the website cleanline.ca, 24-hour emergency service and everything you need when it comes to plumbing, heating, and electrical. A local leader for 40 years. Really appreciative of having Clean Line Plumbing on board with us throughout the Winnipeg Jets season here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Again, that website for more information on all your plumbing, heating, and electrical needs, cleanline.ca. We popped into BP last night after the game. Our pal DJ Finesse, who does the music at the Jet games, was doing a little DJ gig afterwards to kick off the season. And, of course, that BP City place, always busy in and around the game. If you're checking out the Jets game tomorrow, head into Boston Pizza to try the new Flight Club menu. I love the flights. The pizza flights, which is 3 6-inch gourmet pizzas served with honey dill, sriracha ranch, and creamy garlic dip. The wing flights, 15 wings in your choice of 3 flavors. Now they've got chicken bite flights served in Thai, pineapple, habanero, and honey garlic flavors, and fry flights. Classic fries, yam fries, and garlic parm fries served with chipotle and cactus dips. And, of course, when you order a Michelob Ultra and spin the BP prize wheel, you can receive a Flight Club invite for a chance to win BP's grand prize trip for 2 to California to see the Jets play Anaheim at the end of February, including flights, hotel, and amazing game tickets. And Winnipeg BPs, by the way, have over 200 Blue Jays hoodies to give away for the ALCS. They'll have that and a free pizza pizza flight, a new bite flight that will maybe we'll give away to someone in the live chat. We'll be keeping out an eye out for some great comments, and we'll hook somebody up on there. So BP, the flights are in the new Flight Club right now at your local Boston Pizza. Man, we saw a lot of Tews jerseys last night. If you want to pick up one of those or a new look for your game day gear this season, there's only one place to head to for that. That's Royal Sports, of course, the most massive and stocked Winnipeg Jets merch selection that you will find literally anywhere with all your favorite players, the jerseys, customized as you want. Tons of Bomber gear, new NFL merch as well. And of course, as hockey gets going around the province, they are the hockey superstore for over 50 years with everything you need from full equipment and goalie gear to stick tape pucks and more. Royal Sports, the undisputed leader in sporting goods and fan merchandise for over 50 years. See them at 750 Pembina Highway, and check them out on Instagram as well. Hit them with the follow, Royal Sports Winnipeg, for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. Going to hook up with Thomas Tipple, talk a little NFL. But first, let's give a big Friday cheers with a 1919 to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, we're going to dive into NFL and maybe a little Jays talk as well. Pat Gregoire is coming up in a few minutes. We'll hit the Coolbet lines. Lots that we cooked up today on WST winners. But let's bring in our go-to guy for all things fantasy football, Thomas Tipple. You can follow him on X at El Nostradamus and find all of him and the incredible fantasy points team's work at fantasypoints.com. Dude, listen, we've got some football to talk about, but I would be remiss if I did not ask you, I know a big-time Jays guy, about the vibe check heading into this weekend and a trip 4 wins away from a spot in the World Series.
So I'm first off, shout out everyone watching. Shout out to our guys at Gate 14, right? Guest of the show here.
Johnny, dude, I've been
Johnny.
DMing Johnny. His head's about to explode right now. I don't know how he's going to handle the next week.
I gotta get the connection because I love those guys. I'd love to be able to talk to those guys, but they're awesome, and just shout out their success. They've grown a lot this year. But I got to tell you, I'm the edge of my seat type guy. I do fantasy football, sports betting. I work with the NFL for a living. Way bigger baseball fan than I am a football fan. I'm from Guelph, Ontario. I'm from the area, so intense watching experience. I don't go out to watch the games. I'm the guy that everyone would be throwing stuff at because I can't sit still. I'm jumping around. I'm moving. I'm panicking. I'm throwing stuff. It's not good for me emotionally, but I'm feeling good. Shout out the Jays. They did the right thing trolling the Yankees. So my co-host on the Dynasty Points Market Report that'll be released later this afternoon is a Yankees fan. So the podcast recording today is a little tense.
Victory lap time.
I couldn't do that to them. They did that enough with the playing of Pop Smoke. Shout out Pop. But yeah, just loved it. Excited. Got to tell you, didn't watch almost any football this weekend because it was just all baseball for me all weekend. They did it on my birthday. I turned 37 on Wednesday. I took Tuesday night off and watched the games Tuesday and Wednesday night. Didn't look good the first night heading into my age 37 season, but what a way to kick off my age 37 season here in life.
Well, let's hope that that 37 season involves a few more weeks of playoff baseball and a big party in Southern Ontario and really across the country in a few weeks. Let's get to it. Folks, by the way, you're probably familiar with this already, but Thomas joins us from Fantasy Points, which is where we rely on for fantasy betting advice as well. The Fantasy Points data suite is the best research tool on the planet. And again, if you want to check it out and grab it, use WST10 as a promo code to sign up and dominate your league. Full disclosure, we were all at the Jet game last night, kicking off the season with 15,000 of our closest friends. I was following the game just on the Score app. Kind of stunning win for the Giants, 7.5-point home dogs. Philly has not really looked good at this point, and now 2 losses in 5 days to go from 4-0 to 4-2 with a bit of a question mark. But I guess from a fantasy perspective, let's touch on last night, the emergence of Jackson Dart. You were telling us at the start of the season, Thomas, and credit to you, when this guy gets in, he is going to be a viable fantasy player, if for no other reason that he is an elite runner. Did it both in the air and on the ground. And we also have to talk about Cam Scatterbo. I had a touchdown prop for him last week. I was disappointed against the Saints. He gets into the end zone 3 times against Philly as the Giants run away with it in the second half.
Yeah, I can't speak enough about Jackson Dart. He looks the part. I thought the first pass was going to get intercepted because Theo Johnson did not turn his head around. But what I loved about Jackson Dart and what he did, a little bit of a veteran thing that he did, he just immediately went to him and said, hey, like, look here, turn your head around. Should have known it was coming hot. He read the blitz. That's the type of stuff you love to see. But yeah, let's talk about Jackson Dart, who I love because of his rushing. He has taken 8 sacks so far, including last night. But some of that needs to be put into context. We don't get mad at, well, I get mad at Lamar Jackson for doing it, but there's Joe Burrow, there's Jane Daniels, there's Justin Fields, there's Justin Herbert. They get in the backfield, they get pressure on them, they look lost at times when they're spinning around, running into their own offensive lineman. But if you remember the Wan'Dale Robinson touchdown, yes, that only was a 10-yard throw, but when you put in that he moved around in the pocket, he did some really great things there, got the ball out to him sharp on the sideline, then Wan'Dale did the rest. So you need that to hit upside in fantasy at times, but he did, and it was a phenomenal showing that way through the air. So he takes some of the sacks. He's already got 10 deep throws on 85 attempts. So if you're going to tell me that my quarterback is taking deep shots that often, now that's 3 starts. He's thrown 10 deep balls. Lil Jordan Humphrey into the game. Huss, I'm telling you, he needs to be a priority waiver ad. He had a rapport with Jackson Dart. In the offseason, he was deactivated. Slayton, not a very good wide receiver, in my opinion. Also hurt dealing with hamstring stuff. If you're playing fantasy and your waiver wires are barren, Lil Jordan Humphrey is somebody that could be seeing targets deep down the field all year.
What a name, too, by the way. Lil Jordan. I mean, are you kidding me? Who does not want a guy named Lil Jordan on their fantasy team, even just to look at it on your bench when you're setting your lineup?
Right. And yeah, he's, again, big target. I'm not going to make the same corny puns that the guys in the booth did last night for him. But yeah, just a really good waiver wire ad. Should not be very highly owned. 13 scrambles in 3 games is what we are looking for. He moves, and you saw him the rushing touchdown. You give him a lane. I called him great value Jalen Hurts. That's kind of how I view him. He doesn't get the 1-yard tush push stuff with, I don't want to get started on that. If you get me started on the tush push stuff, I'm going to lose my mind. It is the worst play in sports. I can't stand it. I'm not going to get you guys a censorship strike on this, but if you want to hear my outright thoughts on the tush push, it's on the Dynasty Points podcast feed. It is R-rated. But he's got, like I said, 13 scrambles, only a 10.6% off-throw target rate. Now, if you're wondering what that is, it is when a receiver is nice and wide open, ready to set for us, and the quarterback can hit him on time, but he throws it a little bit behind him, not where it should be, etc. Sounds pretty self-explanatory. Well, got to be pretty good quarterback if you want to have a low off-target throw rate, and he's sitting right next to 2 of the best in the league, Justin Herbert and Jared Goff, through his first 3 starts. One of the top 6 quarterbacks in the NFL for off-target throw percentage, the way we want it to be. And then, of course, his fantasy points per drop back, which is obviously how much fantasy points he's providing to you every time he drops back to throw a pass. It's exactly the same as Jordan Love's. His fantasy points per opportunity, that's every time he either runs, he scrambles, rushes, does anything fantasy related, exactly the same as Jordan Love. You're getting Jordan Love level production way later in your drafts if you picked him up early. He's a bit of it. He's kind of hard to trade for now in Dynasty, but we're talking 20.7 points per game with 14 rushing first downs. Points per half point per first down. Very popular league setting these days. Getting even more production with him. He is a cheat code. The only downside, because I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's all sunshine, it's all rainbows. I'm not that type of fantasy analyst. I'll tell you where we're going to talk about it, things I got wrong. But there is some negative here. He is reckless. He uses his head like a torpedo. I know it's a fun meme, but let me tell you, as somebody that's gone through football for 10 years and pro wrestling, those knocks on the noggin, they can stack up. So you run that risk. He's basically doing what Tua wants to do, but is not athletic enough to do. And again, we've seen the pre-onset rigor mortis with Tua on field in prime time. Not something I want to see for Jackson Dart. So that trip to the medical tent, I was legitimately concerned for the dynasty bags. And I just got to tell you, I don't care what people say or what he says. Dabble threatened the athletic trainer. He threatened his life to get Dart back in the game because Russell Wilson got booed off the field. 2 throws into coming into the game. If you're worried about job security, Dart's got that in bunches. They don't want to see Russ Wilson touch that field ever again. And Jameis Winston sucks.
Yeah, he's a fun guy to listen to. He's a great quote, probably a great locker room guy. Listen, it's Dart's team, and it will be for the foreseeable future, as long as, to your point, he stays upright and stays healthy. Hey, quickly, what there's listen. I mean, anybody has probably already taken some hits when it comes to injuries on their roster right now. Just you got the latest on any of the key injuries this week? In particular, I'm waiting to find out about Bucky Irving, whether I can start him this week. What's the latest on the injury front for some of the more fantasy relevant players?
Pain. It's pain. That's what I have for you. I will say this one thing, Huss, and I'm just going to because I get DMs and questions about this kind of at all times. I'm not an injury expert, and I'll never pretend to be. Luckily, we staff one in the great Edwin Porras, who has spent time with the Twins organization. I believe he's with a different Major League Baseball organization as well. Just can't remember off the top of my head. He deep dives fantasy football related injuries and puts out his content. So our guy, Edwin Porras, over at fantasypoints.com does a great job. But I got to tell you, the same thing that I tell so many fantasy football players, so many managers, and even other content creators. There's no such thing as an injury-prone player. They're just NFL players that play the most violent sport in pro sports, right? Of the major sports, the NFL is the most violent, period. It's not debatable. It's not questionable. It's factual. So these guys are all going to get dinged up. Expect players to all miss games. The Malik Neighbors stuff super sucks because it was a field issue, and we know that field is terrible. We know what turf does to football players. Stop it. Joe Burrow misses every other season with something, right? These things are just going to happen. But if you want to talk about guys like, there's concern right now with Omarion Hampton. At first, it was just a regular ankle thing, 4 weeks. Now we're getting some murmurs that it could be a fracture. And if it's a fracture, he's cooked. He's toast. So things like that. Christian McCaffrey is always banged up. You got guys like Xavier Worthy, who seems to pop up on an injury report every week, but always seems to play. Not as effective every single week, because I don't think he can play well through injury, but definitely somebody who's hurt consistently, but seems to play anyway. So my best advice to people worrying about injuries in fantasy football is don't. They'll happen. Turn your attention more to what you can do and wait for them to get back. It's not something you can plan for. Even with CeeDee Lamb, how much did I love CeeDee Lamb talking to you, Huss, before in the preseason? Love CeeDee Lamb. All my props are shot now for him season long. He's coming back, and everyone's like, it's a high ankle. You don't know how he's going to react when he comes back from the injury. So I was sitting here pounding the table for Chris Godwin. Now Chris Godwin comes back in the second game. Now he's averaging 3.7 targets per game, and it looks rough. He's going to miss this week. Could be a lost season. There's ups and downs. I will say this: if you're a dynasty fantasy football player, buy injured players like Brandon Ayuk before they get back on the field, because as soon as they get back on the field, their value is destined to grow. Except for Tyreek Hill, over. That one of the worst injuries I've ever seen. It's done.
Yeah. Thomas Tipple's with us, folks. Check out fantasypoints.ca. You know what? I was going to ask you about your best call and the most frustrating, but I will leave that till next week. We'll kind of be at the official midway point of the fantasy football regular season. So we will touch on that then. Thomas, always great having you on the program. Gang, if you got more questions, Thomas is awesome at getting back to people from the chat on X, El Nostra Thomas. And again, fantasypoints.com to help dominate your league. Have a good weekend, dude. Go Jays. Enjoy those games.
Yeah, go Jays, because we know the Ravens are toast, so we'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy. There's Thomas Tipple from fantasypoints.com. All right, let's get to some fan feedback brought to you by Fans First, your number one spot for buying and selling Winnipeg tickets on the resale market, where what you see is what you pay, no added fees, and the number one spot for selling season tickets if you can't make a game. Go to fansfirst.ca. Another poll in the chat, and it was your thoughts on Jonathan Toews in his first game back as a Jet. Number one, 37% impressive considering the layoff. 35% is solid but rusty. 14% quiet game overall. 15% just awesome to see him back. Funny just hearing how locked in he was after the game, and disappointed with the loss, somewhat self-critical, but certainly looks like he's going to be a big-time player for the Winnipeg Jets this year, health permitting, and we'll just hope that he can build off last night's game starting tomorrow with that 12:30 matinee right here on downtown in Winnipeg. Pat Gregoire is going to join us in just a moment. When you're done with WST, head on over to the Winnipeg Sports Talk YouTube channel for this week's edition of WST Winners. Kind of dive into all of our favorite picks against the spread, trying to keep hot with the props. We've got a touchdown parlay that we'll get to that's up in it, but Patty joins us now for the Coolbet lines. As don't forget, everybody, Marbles is open right now, and we'll get to Marbles just after this. Mr. Gregoire, the general manager of the Stay Cool Country Club himself, is now joining us right now. How's business?
Business has been great. Business has been great. If you've been taking our picks for our props, if you've been following us along for baseball, if you've been taking the spread, maybe not staying as cool as we would suggest. But hey, unbelievable time of year to be a sports bettor. Unbelievable time just to be a sports fan. Like, this is the Mecca. This is the absolute Mecca. I've got my porch door open. The cool breeze is coming in. Like, how could you not love this time? It's unbelievable. Austin.
Well, especially, I mean, just how are people getting out of their Thanksgiving dinners is the question right now. Planned for Sunday or Monday night with the Jays going at it in the ALCS. But hey, listen, just quickly before we get to the lines.
Of course.
We've got a lot of big-time golf fans here. I always tell people, check the promotions tab, incredible contests. Of course, people have seen some of the amazing stuff that I've done and gone to with you guys, other contest winners. Of course, Coolbet was a big sponsor of the RBC Challenge this year, which is the scramble across the country. The winners head out to, well, you tell us, it certainly looks like the greatest golf getaway in the beautiful, massive country of Canada. But you and the fellas had a chance to go out with the winners last week to Cabot Cliffs, Cabot Links. It was, it looked like a dream trip, man. How was it?
It was paradise, man. What an unbelievable event that RBC PGA of Canada put on. Like, unreal. Like, 20, I think it was 26 teams from across Canada coming together to compete for the RBC Scramble Cup. A lot of different events going on at nighttime. We had the kitchen party at the barn, putting contest. The great thing that they have there as well, which is honestly was one of the more fun things of the entire weekend, is the nest. It's a 9, or actually I guess it's an 11-hole course, par 3, and at nighttime they flip the lights on, and it is so much fun. These greens, the undulation, like you hit a perfect shot maybe like 3 feet to the cup, and all of a sudden it slides off. So like, it's not real golf. Like, it's a lot of chipping, putting, trying to, it's a lot of fun. We had a little match there, but just the two golf courses themselves, two of the best golf courses on the planet. Two of the best, literally, depending on who you look at. Score Golf has both of them ranked number 1 and number 2. We had the best weather like they've ever had this late too, which was unbelievable. Us like we were sweating buckets. We didn't bring shorts. We were wearing golf shirts and pants, and we were dying here. We were absolutely dying. The weather was amazing. We'll be back next year. Our winners of our contest, obviously, they had an absolute blast. I think they actually still have another couple of days of golf, so they're still down in Cabot. But we'll be doing something different, but maybe not this golf trip right away. We're going to have different contests throughout the next little while here. So if you aren't clicking that promotions tab at coolbet.com, you're doing yourself a disservice, because there's some awesome trips that you can win.
All right, well, let's get to it. Obviously, we've got all of our plays for the football week at WST winners, so we won't go through all those. Let me ask you this, though. We'll touch on what we've got cooking up for the people. Blue Jays right now. I know you guys are completely locked in, as we all are on this. The Tigers are a road favorite tonight because they've got their ace, Tarek Skubal, on it. Detroit at -118. Seattle is a home dog of even money, +100. And then Cubs Brewers go tomorrow. The Brew Crew, a -130 home favorite. The Cubs +110. Home teams won all the games in that series. But first of all, do you have a feeling? Do you have a side on this game that you'd like to take tonight? And just from a Jays perspective, I mean, is there a bet? We all thought that the Yankees was a better matchup for the Jays, just to have nothing to do with Garrett Crochet. I kind of say the same thing about the Tigers because of Skubal. But again, if he's pitching tonight, you're probably talking about Game 3, the earliest that he'd be able to go, and I guess a potential Game 7. And that Mariners lineup is absolutely stacked when it comes to batters. I mean, just thoughts on this game tonight and the opponent for the Blue Jays come Sunday.
Yeah, I think obviously the thought of having to go up against Skubal just is nightmare fuel, especially if it is in a clinching scenario like that. That is terrifying. But I think when you look at the bats for the Mariners, and like you said, that murderer's row that they do have, I think that can get a little bit scary. But I think what we learned with the Toronto Blue Jays is that they can kind of win all different type of ways. They can win games that are shootouts, that are home run derbies, and high scoring, high event baseball, and then they can also lock it down. I think the emergence, and I know it's just one start, but seeing what Trey time was all about, like, that makes me feel a lot better regardless who you go up against. I think Jake said it on our program before we talked about the NFL picks this week. I think you just got to go ahead on. Both teams that you're going to play are going to be great. So I don't really think you could choose one that is going to be better than the other. I think maybe the draw goes to the Mariners because you don't have to deal with a guy like Skubal, but again, I don't know. I think you just got to go out, play whoever it is, and take on the opponent square on. In terms of a betting angle tonight, I have a really hard time not betting the Tigers tonight. -122 on the road is a little bit scary, but Skubal, man, he's just such an absolute beast. Maybe you decide to play some of his pitching props instead, but like the numbers are just so crazy. But that's just, how big of a hoss he really is. So I'm going to side with the Tigers tonight, -122. I might hit that BB button and make a little bit of a bet builder. We also have got some other exclusives that will be up probably. If they're not up already, they'll be up soon as well. So that's how I'm going to play it. And then, this program, It's the Brew Crew. You and Jake have been on the Brew Crew for a very long time.
Let's go, Milwaukee.
And you said it. I think both those two places, home field advantage has played a big role. I think it's going to be the same thing tomorrow. So I think it's the two favorites. Maybe it's a little parlay. You have to wait a day for it to cash potentially, but I kind of like the two favorites in this one.
Yeah, and again, listen, if you rode with me and Jake on that series parlay that we put together beforehand, the Jays are already in. We need the home teams, the Mariners and the Brewers, to cash that one at a nice number. Just quickly before we move over to football and what we've cooked up for the weekend, Jays are +330 to win the World Series right now. The Dodgers are the favorite at +115. Jays -127 to win the AL. Dodgers -217 to win the NL right now. And if you want to have some fun futures-wise, There's numbers up for ALCS MVP. Vlad Guerrero 7-1. And then the next two is Cal Raleigh and a big dumper and Tarek Skubal. Only one of those will be in it. Other J numbers, though, if you want to jump on those now, George Springer 11-1, Dalton Varsho 25-1, Alejandro Kirk 30-1. Where's Big Earn? We got to get a number on Big Earn. He would have been maybe the ALDS MVP.
I know. I was just going to ask, do we have a number on there? You've got it pulled up there now. I don't think if we don't, we're going to have.
No.
Yeah, we're going to have to get a number.
Big Earn.
Yeah, we're going to have to add Big Earn there because you're right. I think you could argue like from top to bottom, sure, in game one, it was all about Vladdy.
Hey.
Trey Savage in game two. I think overall from start to finish, our guy Big Earn was the best player.
He was 9 of 14 from the plate. I mean, it was just phenomenal. By the way, quickly, have you heard any good news on Bo Bichette?
They've kind of kept it really quiet. And I know
quiet.
It's been really quiet, which is kind of concerning. I mean, initially it was like, yeah, there's a good chance that he kind of was playing coy with the media, but there hasn't nearly been enough. During the celebration, like he kind of was walking a little bit gingerly as well. So, you know what? Like, of course, obviously you would much rather having Bo in there, but then like all of a sudden now, like, I think it has to be if Bo says he's good to go, Huss, like he's going, but like, he's got to be good enough to go, I assume, to also be in the field. Cause if not, if he's just going to be a bat, now all of a sudden he's DH. Where does Springer goes in the outfield? Like now you've really got to adjust that lineup out. So I think it's one of those things where like, at least for game one, it's like, Bo, unless you can play the field, unless you're 100%, like I don't think we can force him into the lineup and completely, corkscrew everything.
I mean, first things first, I just hope he's on the roster for the championship series. And then, and then, that'll be the first tell. And then when he plays. All right. Listen, before you go, let's let the people know what we've cooked up. First of all, Hammer and I were in the lab at CFL 110 earlier.
Yes.
If you go into the exclusives, the CFL 110 boosted parlay this week is the Ticats -2.5 against Calgary, Bombers -3.5 against the Elks, and the Red Blacks +13.5 in Montreal, hoping that the Ottawa team goes out and kind of plays for their coach, plays for pride, and can stay in that game. It is going to be Dustin Crum in place of Drew Brown in that one. Now, from WST winners this morning, in the exclusives, we've got our prop parlay. We've done very well with the props so far this year. Jake has Jets rookie tight end Mason Taylor getting 35 or more receiving yards. Patty has Justin Herbert rushing for 20 or more yards. And I've got Patrick Mahomes throwing it all day in this game against the Detroit Lions on Sunday night. Cannot wait for this one. Mahomes, 270 or more. F-Dog, J-Rock, and the boys took care of us with a nice little boost up to +650. Now, if you go to the combo cards, whole bunch of options for you right now. But the WST winners parlays have been put together. For our spread picks, we were all on New England this week, much like we were all on the Jets last week. And there's a rule that if we're all agreeing on something, it's not on the parlay, because that is ominous. And so many people got killed on the Jets last week against the Cowboys. But I digress. We've done something a little different. We took two really close lines, so we just went with the money line. We got the Chiefs to beat the Lions on Sunday Night Football. We've got the Seahawks to beat the Jags as a 1-point underdog on the road. And then the Cleveland Browns right now are 6-point underdogs, I should say, in this game against Pittsburgh. We got an extra 1.5 points to get on the other side of a touchdown. So Cleveland +7.5, Seattle to win, Kansas City to win. That's +458 if you just put it in manually. Nice boost to +528. That is in the combo cards. And then, Patty, I love the pay dirt parlay. We're going to the air this weekend.
Yes,
3 receivers.
Aerial salt.
3 receivers. I'm riding with JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba from the Seattle Seahawks. Jake's got Tet McMillan. Time to get in the end zone for him. Who better to do it against than the Dallas Cowboys in a game that'll feature a lot? And your guy, Emeka Egbuka, a touchdown machine. He doesn't play and not score. and we'll see if he can do it again. That one, 10-1, boosted to plus 1165. I haven't been this excited about the touchdown parlay in a few weeks.
Yeah, and I think, we kind of tried different ways for this touchdown parlay. We've gone with some big time chalky numbers, and maybe one doesn't find the back of the end zone. We've also kind of got a little cute and tried to find a bit of a bigger number at, plus 200, or even for Jake, I think he's even gone at a near plus 300. Yeah. This is the sweet spot. 120, 130 touchdown through the air. I think we're going to see a lot of passing in all three of these games. I love it. I absolutely love it. I agree with you. This is the most excited that I've been for a touchdown score parlay in a very long time.
Hey, just before we run and get to the marble race that everyone's all fired up about, you just got married last year to a lovely wife that now involves two families. How are you negotiating? I hope she's not watching. Are you?
She is not.
Are you
watching
coming down
right
with something? Or late Saturday to kind of put it up. Might not be able to make the dinner. How are you going to handle game 1 and game 2 Sunday and Monday nights when many of the traditional Thanksgiving Day responsibilities will be taking place?
So here's the thing: Saturday's at her folks' place, so we're going to be there. Sunday and Monday will both be on my side, my mom's side on Sunday, and then a little bit of a smaller dinner on Monday. Good thing about the Gregoire household, and even her family as well, we're all sports freaks. So the TVs will be on. It's on. My aunt's place on Sunday, she got a big basement with actually got a couple of screens down there. Big harvest table in the middle. There's going to be a screen over there and a screen over there. So NFL will be on the small screen. And then, of course, Blue Jays will be on the other, all baseball all day long. We don't mess around. We do not mess around. There will be sports all day long. And I know we've talked a lot about other leagues, and for a big reason. It's a huge league in the Canadian football as well for Thanksgiving. And Coolbet has a little something to maybe stuff your turkey this weekend. A free bet, $10 free bet. No deposit required, nothing. This is just a straight up free bet. All you got to do is opt in with code CFLTG25. Select your favorite bet for week 19. Apply that $10 free bet. Wager, enjoy, sit on the couch, watch the CFL, and hope that thing cashes for you.
Okay, CFLTG
25.
CFLTG 25.
And that could be a parlay. That could be a parlay. That could be props. You name it. You can do that. Take that $10 and enjoy it on a big weekend in the CFL.
Listen, may I suggest, as we do have a little bit of breaking news, Ed Tate has reported that despite being listed as doubtful after missing practice all week, Nick Demski is in and going to Edmonton. I believe the reason why he was gone is that he was having his second child. So,
baby swag.
Nick Demski touchdown. There it is. He's been moved to game time designation. He's the veteran receiver, is good to go. So, folks, I mean, we couldn't tee this up for you. A free $10 bet. Use the promo code CFLTG25. And whether you want the Bombers or Nick Demski or maybe a little bit of both, jump on that over there, courtesy of Patty and our friends at Coolbet. Dude, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yes,
I hope we speak early next week talking about the Jays being just a win or two away from cashing those AL futures that we have from the summer and booking a ticket to the World Series, buddy. Have a great one, and thanks again as always.
Yeah, always thankful for everything. Thankful for a great partnership at WST with you, Huss, and Remis in the entire game. But I'll be extra thankful if we can cash some tickets this weekend.
Let's go. Have a good one, dude.
There's
care, Pat Gregoire. And again, WST winners, the Week 6 NFL edition is up at the YouTube channel, and search the podcast as well for all of that. All right. Fun show today. Fun night last night. We got a big weekend. We get the Moose opener tonight I'm going to be checking out, but we got to get Remis back in here and get some marbles going down. Let's fire up a little Tristan Rivers music. I always like to see which selection Michael Remis will choose today. I'm not sure if there's really a Thanksgiving vibe to any of these ones. So Let's see what he's cooking for us and then where we are going with the marble race on Winnipeg Sports Talk here on a Friday.
It's Friday! Another week of work on you deserve to treat still, baby, and I drink and remind of Brian. Hold the whole day until back again tonight. Are you tempering for pleasure? Starting to a marble race. Elsie to the brain, best to worst. Marble race. To that marble to the punctuation mark. Marble race. Family of the rolling.
All right, a perfect choice. When I think of Thanksgiving, I think of Pantera, and what a great one that was. We haven't played that one in a long time.
Haven't played in a while. I did play because our friend Wayne Gretzky wanted me to give a shout out to the Manitoba Loud Music Awards on Saturday. They're giving awards to local musicians, performances by School of Rock, Pure Entry, The Sound Off, Unsilent, and a special appearance by Doc Rivers. If anyone wants to hit that up, we got a pair of tickets, so send us.
Doc Rivers, like the former Clippers and Celtics coach?
I don't know. He wrote D-O-C-K Rivers. I don't think it's.
Oh, Doc Rivers. It's probably not the same guy. I mean, would be.
I think did he mean Dick Rivers? I think he meant Dick Rivers and autocorrected.
Oh,
from
wow,
Naily Dick.
Geez. I haven't seen Dick Rivers. There's a blast from the past.
Sorry, he told me before it was Dick Rivers. I was like, oh, I remember him on Power 97. If anyone wants to go to that, send us a DM or an email, and we'll give away a pair. But Wayne Gretzky, loyal chatter, involved in the heavy music scene here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, nicely done. Nicely done. All right, let's get her going. Dude, throw me in. I think we probably need to give one Kyle F. Connor a marble for his new contract.
And Dembski for baby swag.
100%. Nick Dembski in as well. Where are we going today?
Okay, everyone's coming out for marbles. I saw Shania T in the chat.
Yes.
Luca D is in there.
What's up, Shania?
Drew Doughty the Kings are in Winnipeg, so he's entered the chat. He's here every week, Drew Doughty.
Nice.
But now they're like,
take it easy at Earl's tonight, Drew. It's an afternoon game. 12:30 start tomorrow.
I'm trying to think who else.
Is Brad Marchand here? Brad Marchand.
Oh yeah, Brad Marchand was in there. Helly's Rib is in chat. Everyone
shout out to Helly's Rib, actually. Helly's Rib was with us in the WST section last night. Appreciated you popping in and along with your son. I won't blow his cover, but I did find out Helly's Rib. And hey, thanks again to everyone that came out. Man, that was a great group. I think it was the biggest WST section we've had left. Obviously we sold out. We knew that it would be in high demand. Everyone would be wanting to come and take in the home opener. So a great way to start up the season, minus the final score, but certainly a fun game. And our next WST game, which I hope you'll join us for, is Friday, November 21st, when Nikolai Ehlers and the Carolina Hurricanes come to town. Ehlers made his Canes debut last night, and I know didn't have a goal because I had bet a prop for him to score in his first game. Just looking at the standings, he had no points. He had 2 shots on goal, played 19:35 on the ice, and was on the power play for 4:38. So obviously getting PP1 minutes, along with Aho, Jarvis, and Andrei Svechnikov. So again, winnipegjets.com/WST. And hey, tomorrow, 12:30, the second half of opening weekend, the 12:30 start. Looking forward to that one. All right, Remo, let's do this.
Yeah, didn't put in a marble for Alex Nedeljkovic for his blunder, and that led to the Patrick Stefan-esque comeback there by the Knights.
What was worse, the fact that the Sharks didn't get the wide open empty net goal to seal the win, or the way they lost in OT? I can't decide.
The way they lost. The 2 goals that the Vegas scored to tie and win, maybe the ugliest 2 goals for a tying and winning goal combined you've ever seen. I don't know if there's a stat for that, like you times them together, the ugliness factor, but it was gross. Felt bad for Sharks fans, but they actually have a pretty decent team this year. And speaking of blunders, Phillies losing in a rough way yesterday. The Dodgers walk off on a throwing error from the pitcher to the catcher. Not ideal. So we are tuned in tonight. I'm got my Seattle hat on now. I'm hoping for Mariners Jays, but it's going to be tough. They have beaten Scooble every time this year. They've played. He hasn't beat Seattle, and they did win. They did win.
I love it. Well, I mean, as I say, I'm hoping for Seattle too, because we need Seattle in the Brew Crew for
for the parlay,
to catch that parlay. I know you're on that as well.
I am on
All right,
that.
get that set up. You get that set up. Let us know about this. By the way, you'll notice I've traded the DP for this Mountain Dew. This is the voodoo. Every year, it seems, I'm at my local 7-Eleven and this catches my eye. The mystery flavor that they put out in Halloween. Now, I was wondering whether it was the same as the same as last year. And last year I found it was sort of citrusy. There was some cherry in it. They don't tell you what it is. As they say, if you're listening on the podcast, it's like a white, clearish white. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is. But I think it is different. They have tweaked it from last year. There's definitely a lot of citrus in there. Some orange, I think I'm feeling, and maybe a little bit of berry too. 8.1. 8.1 out of 10. Do recommend if you do like Mountain Dew. It's definitely different than the normal Dew, but I'm into some of these weird flavors too, especially around this time. Just figured I'd let people know that while Remis got it all set up. Sounds great for his teeth. Dr. Terry's in the chat. I'm going to brush immediately after the show. Take care of you. Although, hey, we all love going to see Dr. Terry. I mean, maybe I'm just trying to speed up the next visit to Save and Tell Dental Center. All right, Remo, what do we got here? Let's go.
We have 238 marbles.
Woo!
So we had 235. 232. And then no, we should have 235. I added in Hustler, Kyle F. Connor, and that's 235. Kyle F. Connor and Nick Dembski. So 235 marbles. Going into the Chill Adventurous Fantasy. This is a good one from our friend Dylan70.
Yes, Dylan70 tracks, the best.
The good track maker. So nice review, Hustler. Well, was that Mystery Dew? What was that again?
Yeah, it's called it's Voodoo, D-E-W.
And then you said do recommend, which I thought was funny.
I do recommend indeed. Always fun. So yeah, here we go. First place, WST hoodie. And actually, just because our friend Andrew over at, I'll tell you what, second place for today's race is going to get a free BP pizza flight. Or actually, we'll just say second place gets the pizza flight and a bite flight, which we were just saying. The new bite flights are the chicken bites served with Thai, pineapple, habanero, and honey garlic flavors. So second place, I'll also need that email. Just listen, but you can send that in, and then I'll send that over to our friends at Boston Pizza, and they can hook somebody up with the pizza flight and the bite flight from our friends over at Boston Pizza. But everyone's looking to get their hands on that hoodie as a champion of the marble race. So here it is, the Chill Adventurous Fantasy, 235 marbles. Who will be first? Let's find out on WST. The drop is on. It looks like a backgammon, a Romoli board or something like that at the start. Look at Dunk Dynasty with a incredible start. I don't know, Dunk Dynasty clearly ahead of everyone else. That's a heck of a start for Dunk Dynasty. Usually you don't have anyone get out to that sort of a lead with such a big one, but an incredible navigation of the first few. Can Dunk Dynasty go wire to wire? We'll see. Well, no, because he's already been caught. But right in the mix right now, Big A Winnipeg, Mark, Jen Cool, EST we are still waiting our first EST winner of the marble race. We know a lot of the nasties pop in on Friday afternoons to hang out with us, joining in the lock shop. Ooh, Tyson Ducharme. Sorry about that, Tyson. You just got top roped. So did Ron P. Where are we at here? We got Stem up top seems to have gone first. This is a very interesting one. I'm not really even too sure how this is going. Oh, there's Duck Dad. Duck Dad, another ESTer. But Brendan Kipling, Rick Benson, Duck Dad. Oh, no, Rick Benson got top roped. But Brendan is still in right now, inside. This is where you want to be, inside the orb, not outside the orb, where many people are getting top roped and eliminated. But we're looking to see who the first one coming out of this massive spinning orb. And it is Stem. Along with, is that XX Revolution? Yes, it is. Chucker just got popped. Brendan Kipling is in the mix. XX Rev, first place right now, ahead of Stem and Brendan Kipling right now. It's XX Rev and Stem. Voice of Fire. I think Voice of Fire is a new one. Rob Mahoney, Coach Mike, all in the mix right now. Ooh, VR Montenegro. Doug Phil, Dave McLean. Oh, no, Dave McLean seems like he's still...
Alternate path.
Alternate path. Okay, Dave McLean is live, and so is Kevin Berg. And will they make it happen on the bottom path, or will it be XX Revolution, who is in first place? Looks like XX Rev, if he falls through, maybe it won't be. Oh, what a finish. That was literally almost simultaneous. Well, it was nice that we did have a second place prize today. XX Revolution 70-42 is our winner today by, we got to see how close this race was. That could be our closest of all time. Oh, looks like I actually finished. That's nice. Dave McLean is second. Now, XX Rev, send us an email, winnipegsportstalk@gmail.com. Let us know your hoodie size, and I'll holler at you. You can come by and pick it up. And Dave McLean, Dave, if you could send us an email with your contact info, I will send that over to our friends at Boston Pizza to get you hooked up with the Pizza Flight and the new Bite Flight, which are available now at local Winnipeg BPs for the Flight Club menu, just in time for Jet season. As well. There it is, XX Rev. I think that's a first ever win. Always in the chat, finally getting the win.
Like
that
0.1 seconds.
Yeah, that is maybe the closest one we've ever had. I mean, very rarely. It just seemed like they dropped at the exact same time. But XX Rev is our winner today. Dave McLean, though, I mean, very close. I mean, they beat everybody else by 7 seconds. Got that BP prize, the pizza flights and the bite flight for Dave. Again, winnipegsportstalk.com. Dave, send us your contact info and we'll get you set up. Rest of the top 10, Voice of Fire. It's a new one. Shout out Voice of Fire. Nice performance. Stem. Then Kevin Berg, June, Sean Sinclair, Scotty Doesn't Know, Coach Mike, and the 55-yard line. Top 10 performances today. There's our guy Eagle Eyes in 13th. Eagle Eyes, I know you jumped on that Kyle Connor 50-goal prop. How about that for a start to the season? Continuing on, Rob Mahoney had a nice run. I see Spency. What is up? Hustler, look at that, 22nd. I will take it. Right ahead of Mary Jane. What's up, Mary Jane? Hope you have a great weekend. Todd Furtani was second last week. Another nice one. Nick Dembski, the good performance. We're hitting every Dembski prop in the game tomorrow. Schnitzy, speaking of the Bombers, don't forget on the weekend, another episode of the WST Bomber Report with Connor and Zach, and of course, WST Sunday Live. There's Les Thompson. He was with us at the game last night. What's up, Les? Dr. Terry, top 100 performance today. Nicely done. He's in at 99. There's Amanda, Mrs. 3-time champion. The Derminator. Shout out to the Chuds Power Sports crew. They'll be busy this weekend. Happy Thanksgiving to the Chuds crew and all of our great sponsors. Oh, and there's Ken Rabchak. Ken also with us in the WST section last night. Great to see him and everyone else that joined us. And then here's everybody else that didn't make it to the finish line and took an L via a DQ or a DNF, if you will, including Gene Okerlund and Chuds Power Sports. Oh, JBM, Jake Bull and Moss. Not a great start to the weekend for Jake. Anyway, so much fun. XX Rev, nicely done. Hoodie for you as the champ. And Dave, an incredible second place performance. And you picked a great week to come in second because we got that prize from Boston Pizzas. So, guys, send us over. Shania T, second, 72nd. Not too bad for Shania. Remo, what's up for you? You got a busy weekend, I'm sure. Kid stuff. And I mean, let's face it, if you're a sports fan, it is busy because it's basically starting at noon every day. Jets on Saturday, 12:30. Jets on Monday at noon. Of course, we got the full slate of NFL on Sunday. Chiefs, Lions, Sunday night. Game 1 of the ALCS. Monday's going to be game 2. CFL as well. Perfect time to get away. Friends, family. 3 days of amazing sports. And then right back here to get another week going on Tuesday's edition of WST.
Well, yeah, I'm spending a lot of time at the rink. My son's in hockey now, so I'm a hockey parent. And 8 a.m. start time Saturday and Sunday. And then I think I'm playing tonight and Sunday as well. So I'll be spending a lot of time either watching the Jets on Saturday and Monday or playing myself or watching my son play. So I guess it's hockey season for everyone, right? So excited for that. Also, the Bomber game Saturday, too.
Bomber game, like tomorrow is going to be, I'm starting off Jet game at 12:30. I'll go to BP or one of my favorite hangouts in between the games. I'll watch the Bombers at 6, and then a hockey draft 10 p.m. on Saturday. My buddies like you that have kids and all these things, they're very difficult to find a time to get everyone together. But
10 p.m. Saturday, that's a great time.
Well, it is a great time. I mean, I am a little nervous considering the hockey game starts at 12:30, but I'll be locked in and loaded. But Schnitzy, one half of the Bomber Report here on WST, with a couple great stats for the Bombers. Since 2017, Bombers 18-2 off the bye. And I like this one, Zach. Caleros 12-0 versus the Elks since 2018. A great weekend coming up again. Fun night last night. Let's hope that the end result of tomorrow's game has the Jets on the other side of the ledger, and we can go into Monday's first road game of the year at 1-1. It's the Los Angeles Kings. How about that game time for the Kings, Remo? It's going to be for their body clocks on West Coast time, that is going to be a 10:30 a.m. game for the LA Kings. So hopefully the Jets get ready for a good start tomorrow against an LA team that did not have a good time taking on the Colorado Avalanche to begin the season. Avs look scary.
Yeah, deal with it, LA Kings. That's what happens every week in the NFL when a West Coast team goes east. They're playing it. The Rams, I believe, are playing on the road. That's just part of the deal.
Yep. You get Seattle's in Tampa this week, or Jacksonville this week.
Yeah, that's part of the deal. Living in the West Coast, you got to play in a weird time zone. So Kings looking to bounce back. It is Anze Kopitar's second last visit to Winnipeg. Surefire Hall of Famer, hockey legend. We'll be seeing them for Après Ski Night, January 9. Part of the pack. Got my jacket ready for that as well, and my toque I got last night at the game for the giveaways. So, Kings. We'll see how they bounce back. A couple teams has at home, for their home opener, really lay an egg. How about Montreal laying the heat on Detroit? I'm curious about Detroit, man. The Plan. Not really.
The Iser plan is
out.
a plan to suck for a long time. And I listen, the poor people of Buffalo. I don't know if you saw those videos of the Sabres fans leaving, but I mean, it basically like they just went right back to March. I mean, a shutout at home by the Rangers in their home opener. Hey, listen, a loss is a loss, but it was certainly a lot more fun game as a fan, I think, for Jet fans than it was for Wings or Sabres fans. But let's face it, maybe not the fan bases that you want to be comparing yourselves to, considering how ugly and rough it's been for those franchises over the last number of years. Listen, that is going to do it for us. Thank you very much. Great week this week on WST. Great to have Chud's Power Sports on board. Great to have Clean Line as well. All of our sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Maybe we'll see you all at the game tomorrow night. Maybe Moose game home opener tonight. I'll be heading there. Can't wait to see the new look of the Moose this season. One place you will definitely see me and Michael Remis is Tuesday, 1 o'clock, right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. But don't forget Bomber Report and, of course, a live edition of WST Sunday Live on Sunday, 9 a.m. And then after the game on Monday in the afternoon, once you're done with IC and Kenny and Rennie, make sure to come over to the channel. We'll have another WST postgame report with our Jets reporter, Connor Rabchak. That is going to do it for us. For Michael Remis, I'm Andrew Paterson. Have a great Thanksgiving weekend, and we'll see you Tuesday here on WST.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.